What's up, y'all? This is Mara Juno, and you might know me from World of Warcraft as Illyria Windrunner or The Walking Dead game as Krista, among a few others. And you're listening to the man, the legend, the Scott Clark, and the Gaming Outsider.
What's happening, Go community? On this week's episode, Zack, Alyssa, and I are answering questions provided from all of you on social media. In news, we discuss the announcements from Sony's latest State of Play, and finally, you'll hear our impressions of a few new games. Alyssa played a narrative game called Rearview Mirror. I'm sure you can guess who played Slot Shot's Pinball Ultimate Edition, and Zack checked out the free-to-play Silent Hill The Short Message. This is the Gaming Outsider. Hey guys, if you're in the market for a new gaming chair, I've got a fantastic deal for you. We've partnered with eWin Racing, who produces the most comfortable gaming chair I've ever sat in. They've got them in sizes for all gamers, and the quality is simply incredible. As a listener of The Go, you can get 25% off your order if you use the promo code TGO at checkout when you visit ewinracing.com. You don't have to just take my word for it, however, as multiple members of our community have picked up a chair for themselves, and they love it just as much as I do. You won't be disappointed. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. We've also got a community at facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even a Discord server. You can find a link for that in the show notes. Today, however, is Sunday, February 4th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends. First off, Mr. Zack Parkerson. What's up, sir?
Howdy.
Howdy. And Miss Alyssa White. How you doing?
Hi. I'm glad to be on this week. Sorry I ghosted you last week. Didn't really ghost you. Hopped in. It's like, I gotta go. Bye.
That's all right. We, Zack and I, manned the fort, as it were. We had a good time. Hadn't done an episode just he and I in a while, so that was kind of a fun change of pace.
You both did well. I
the
listened.
tension was palpable.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now the fan fictions are going to be written.
Yeah. CB, unfortunately, will not be with us again this week. He is working. He had last week off, but he was in Texas handling family stuff, so he's not going to be here. But let's go ahead and jump right into the games that we've been catching up on. Alyssa, you were gone last week, like you mentioned, so why don't you start things off? What have you been playing?
I finished the House Flipper Luxury Flipper DLC after about 10 plus, it was over 10 plus hours. Anyway.
Good job taking care of those rich people. They needed your help.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was relaxing. So, beat that DLC.
Nice.
And then now, I've only played an hour and a half of it, but I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Intermission in preparation for Rebirth.
Okay.
And I'm enjoying it so far. I like Yuffie as a character. I will say there was one mission that I was
You totally missed Zack's face.
Oh, I did.
Like...
I did.
I do not like Yuffie, is what my face said, basically.
I mean, she's kind of so annoying that she's endearing.
Well, I guess, you like anime
like
more
CB.
than I. That's good. She's, I don't know, I guess to me she seems very anime, and you like anime more than I do.
Yeah, she is very anime girlish. Also, Sonon. Who am I?
Yeah, you like that guy? Yeah.
I mean, he's a good looking guy.
All right, he is a good looking guy. I can't argue that.
But I just finished the Happy Turtle. Was it a side quest? I don't know. You find the flyers, and they're just randomly. The dang dog one took me 3 times.
Dang, okay. Yeah, no, that is a side quest, though.
Yeah.
You get to hang out with a bunch of cats, so for that side quest, that must have been pretty thrilling for you.
Yeah, it was. You had to go up to each cat, and she's like, no, that's not the right flyer. Why do you all look the same? I'm like, they don't look the same, Yuffie. They're all different.
So one of the things that concerned me when Zack was talking about it last week, Alyssa, was the difficulty. He said it's not easy. Are you finding it difficult as well? Because that was kind of a turnoff for me in terms of I would just want to plow through it.
Some parts of it have been difficult so far. Certain enemies, for some reason, are like, I can't remember what they're called. Like, they're the giant scorpions. Venom something. It took me forever to beat those, and you have to beat those to get a flyer. Some are really easy, it seems like, and then some are difficult. And I'm like, why are you so difficult?
Yeah, I don't think it's like hard. It's just it is like as difficult as FF7 ended. So if you haven't played it in a while,
Which I have not. So
Exactly right. Yeah. Or same here. And then
yeah.
there's only 2 chapters to it, and chapter 2 is just all combat.
About how long did it take you to finish it, Zach?
It was like about 5 hours.
Okay, I was trying to remember.
So about 8 hours for me.
I think you'll manage. Just turn out easy.
I could.
There is an easy mode. Well, there's like 4 different modes. There's like easy classic, normal, and normal classic.
Right.
Easy classic. What do they like? Have the old sprites from the original game?
Well, that'd be cool.
I don't even know why they're called easy classic and normal classic.
It auto, because you know when you build up your ATB gauge in FF7 remake, you can open up your menu, it kind of freezes time or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Classic mode just like freezes time for you automatically, so it makes it feel a little bit more turn based.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to clear my plate before February. Was it 28th?
29th, Leap Day.
29th? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
This year.
It's a special day for a special game.
Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Zach? Anything you've been catching up on?
Well, firstly, I started the Solitaire Conspiracy.
Oh, Mike Bithell. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Bithell. Wow, okay, we got some Bithell fanboys in the room here. This is like a spy-themed espionage solitaire game, where there's like 12 different suits of cards, and each suit, the face cards have special powers, which will be like pulling up all the 2s or reshuffling the stack into reverse order or something like that. And it's all spy themed, and it has like an actual storyline, which is funny for a solitaire game. But it's basically just a spy thriller, and you're watching Greg Miller talk to you an awful lot through what appears to be a Zoom camera.
I'm sure you love that.
He is not a good actor. Although I can't give him too much crap, because it's all like FMV sequences of the characters, but they're all like clearly sitting at their computer reading a script, because I assume it was filmed during COVID or whatever, because the game came out a couple years ago.
Right.
So it's just all like really stilted and weird, but also full of internet celebrities. Greg Miller, Alana Pierce is in this game as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's why you played it.
Yeah, of course. I did not know she was in it. Played it for Mike Bithell. Thank you.
And
it ties into his shared universe of Volume. Thomas Was Alone. The circular games. They're all in the same universe. It's got this. If you played Volume, you can recruit Lockley and his merry men, which is cool, because the game was Robin Hood themed. But ultimately, what astonished me most is it's just solitaire. It's really
solitaire
just
with 12 suits, though. That's what throws me off.
And you can only have 4 equipped at a time, or 4 come into each scenario. There's just like 12 different powers they can have. I don't know, even 12 is probably an exaggeration anyway. But ultimately, it is just solitaire. I think I was surprised at how much it was just solitaire.
Like classic solitaire, it's not like any of the variations. Just the seven piles making stacks on top of each other.
It's 8 piles with stacks, and then you're just arranging the suits from ace to king.
Oh, but there's a story involved with it,
right? Yeah, you're playing as a hacker, and the solitaire is how you hack, essentially.
That's how it works.
And you're trying to track down an evil spy named Solitaire, and Greg Miller's character Jim Ratio is trying to help you hunt down Solitaire. And mind you, I'm only a couple hours into the game, but boy, I sure do think Greg Miller is Solitaire.
Yeah.
This good guy hacker just hacks you all of a sudden and requests your help. And what you're trying to do is gain control over all the other spy organizations so that way he can safely redistribute their assets. Sure does sound like you're working for the bad guy.
Yep.
A little sus.
Yeah, it's a little whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's a neat little game. You could probably finish the story in 3 hours, I assume. It's pretty.
Where do you
pretty
play on Switch?
PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
It's got a platinum trophy, you see.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to get that bad boy.
Nice.
Yeah. But then, more importantly, I started playing the Banner Saga.
Surprises me. This came out of nowhere, kind of.
Yeah, totally randomly. I remember playing it when it first came to PlayStation back in 2016, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember liking it, and but a friend kind of gave too much information about the last decision you make. And because of that, I made the decision I wouldn't have naturally made, and I remember that I was really mad at myself, the Banner Saga 2, so I just kind of pulled away. But anyway, I decided to replay it randomly. I don't know why. I was having like a little bit of a tactics RPG itch. And I remember Banner Saga being kind of, looks so gorgeous with that classic Disney animation style and the rotoscopes, and it's good stuff. And yeah, replaying it, man, I got sucked into this game big time. I beat the entire game in about a week, which is manageable. It's only like an 8 or 9 hour game, but it is just like it's probably 75% visual novel, 25% tactics RPG.
Oh, okay.
but the visual novel stuff is so compelling because you're on this caravan, traveling between the different cities of this Norse fantasy landscape, but every few seconds you get popped up with like, hey, there's some stragglers on the road that want to come along, or oh no, we're seeing these people get attacked, or someone's getting sick from the apples. What do we do? And you keep making these decisions, but it feels like no matter what you do, something bad happens. There's no decisions seemingly that have nothing but positive ramifications.
Right.
So it just makes every choice a bit harrowing, and people are dying in your caravan, or you're running out of food. People could starve to death. You might make a decision in chapter 2 that will kill a character off in chapter 4 unknowingly that you had no idea. And the game auto saves after every decision, so you're just locked into your path. And it's just deeply compelling. And the story is interesting, where it's almost like a post Ragnarok world, and that it's a unique set of gods. It's the Loom Mother and some other set of gods, but they've all killed each other, Ragnarok style. And then this is you're playing in the years afterwards, and the sun has stopped in the sky, and these stone entities, creatures called the Dredge, are coming from the north, like the White Walkers, and and they're just wiping you out. But it seems like they're running from something even more dangerous, and it's just dude, I don't know, like it's so easy to fall in love with the characters because they're written so well, even though there's no voice acting, and they're all just kind of like still images,
right?
But I just got like totally sucked into this storyline, and very exciting cliffhanger. I really want to play Banner Saga 2, but I want to space them out. I don't want to rush through them, so I'll play Banner Saga 2 later.
How many are there?
Just 3.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Yeah, they're all part of a whole, and I don't know, man. It's just, and it does such a good job of, you feel like a character is essential to the story, but then they can get killed off, and the story just wraps around it, or it does a good job of like, you think, oh, I'm just picking up this guy because I need an extra fighter, but then it turns out that he's a major character, 3 chapters later or something like that. It's just, you never know who is or is not important, or maybe they're all important and they just did some insane writing challenges to allow these different things.
Gotcha.
Banner Saga, highest recommendation. I absolutely loved it. I'm looking around. There's like a prequel novel. I'm like, I gotta buy that, man. I gotta see what's going on in this Banner Saga world. It's just it's a very cool world, man.
Nice, man. For me, I did not get a chance to play Borderlands this weekend when someone from my group was not available, and we kind of had this unwritten, rule: if one person's not available, we just don't play. And then Kevin was out of town, so I didn't get to play any more Baldur's Gate on Sunday, which is this morning. I didn't get a chance to do that.
So you didn't have your itch scratched on Baldur's Gate?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I could just play it myself, honestly. Like, he's beat the game, so I'm not, if I just progress some on my own, it's he's not gonna care. But I just kind of like playing with somebody. You know what I mean? It's just it's just like our little thing. It's not like I'm in a hurry. I'm not reviewing it. I'm doing it purely for fun. So this is going to be my year-long thing that I'm going to try to get through. Maybe I should have done that for my New Year's resolution to
good luck.
Get through Baldur's Gate 3 before the end of the year. So I was talking to Paul Hine last night on our Patreon episode, and he said that his first run he finished at over 200 hours. But he is also the guy that, explores every part of the map and does every side quest, and he loves to be OP. Like kind of like how I played Assassin's Creed back in the day. So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I did convince my entire Borderlands group to purchase Baldur's Gate 3 as well. So we may be transitioning to that. So I could be just doing a second campaign with those people, which would be fun. But this game's pretty good, man. Pretty fun.
I'll get to it one day.
So I didn't get to do those, but I did decide to jump into something because, Zach, you and I were just raving about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and I realized that I had never played through Sands of Time. So I decided I wanted to play that this week. So I was looking. You can't buy it on the Xbox store. The game is backwards compatible to the Xbox One from the original Xbox, but for whatever reason, Microsoft has it delisted. It's on the site, but it says you cannot purchase it. You can use a code. If you have a code, you can download it, but they don't have it available.
Or a disc.
Yeah, or if you have a disc. So I called my local shop. They did not have any discs in stock, and weirdly, CB did not have a copy of that either. He had it on GameCube, and I could have just played it on the Wii or something like that. But I saw it was $10 on Steam, so I went and I bought it on Steam. I think I talked to you, Zach. I was this close to buying the bundle because they had like all either 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
For like $10 off of what you would have paid. So you basically got one for free. But I think you had said that one of them was not very good.
Nope,
so...
they're all good. I didn't say that.
Oh, I thought you said Prince of Persia 3D or something was terrible.
Well, no, Prince of Persia 3D is terrible, but it wasn't in that bundle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I should have, but I think he's got the others on it. CB has the others that I could just borrow if I wanted to. I'd rather play on my Xbox or something anyway with a controller. But it is interesting. The first thing I'll say is this is the first time I've had any real issues playing a game on Steam Deck that wasn't a mouse and keyboard game. Mm-hmm. I had to do some tweaking. First off, you know how it's got the how fast your movement works with your right stick. I can't remember what that's called. Like sensitivity. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The sensitivity. I literally had to crank it all the way down to 0 in order for it to be playable. Because if you just even touch the stick, it would just spin all the way around, and so that was kind of interesting.
What a weird problem.
Yeah, and then in order to use the menus, you actually have to highlight it like you do with a mouse and keyboard, but you can't move it around with the sticks. You have to move it around with the touchpad. So I'm actually using that, and then if you're to select it, you actually have to select it with the X button, which equates to the square button on a PlayStation controller.
Yeah, these are very strange problems. I guess it must just not have been optimized for Steam Deck then, right?
Yeah, it says playable. It doesn't say like works great or anything like that. But I got my head wrapped around it, and I'm playing it. I am really enjoying this game. I'm only about halfway through it. I think just under 50%. But it's an interesting shift going from Lost Crown, which is all about platforming, precision platforming, whereas this one is half platforming, half combat. I mean, I guess Lost Crown has also got combat, but this one is mostly platforming and some combat thrown in there. But the platforming here is very deliberate. Instead of like, it doesn't require hardcore reflexes. It's more based on figuring out what you're supposed to do and relying on the controls to do it for you, which is kind of a breath of fresh air. It's not super difficult, but it takes me a second to realize what the game wants me to do, because it doesn't teach you with a lot of tutorials. It does at the beginning, but then when it gets to things like, oh, you have to run up this wall and then jump back to be able to get onto this pole, it never teaches you that. You just have to kind of discover it, which is pretty cool. The platforming is just so much fun. I feel once you see what you got to do and you get into a rhythm of just doing it and doing it without stopping, it feels awesome. My only real complaint is with the combat. I think the combat is super simple.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really simple. Once you learn how to do it, it's very easy. And I just think they throw way too many enemies at you. Not because it's difficult, but it's like, guys, I've proven myself. I know how to fight these guys. I don't need to do 20 of them. Like, you'll be clearing out a room, and then they'll just keep throwing more and more of them at you. It's just kind of annoying, but
yeah. Well, there are ways to make sure the combat is as short as possible. But you're right. I mean, there's not much depth to it. At the time, it was crazy because you could just point in the direction of the enemy, and he would like automatically attack them.
Right.
And you have to think in 2003 that was very uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to have that freedom. But yeah, it never has much depth. It gets a lot more exciting with Warrior Within and Two Thrones, the sequels.
Oh, okay.
But Sands of Time combat is definitely not a strong suit. But you're there for it. It's got an excellent story with the two leads, and the puzzle platforming is wonderful.
Yeah, she's with you for quite a while. I don't know if she stays with you through the entire game, but
she's they're both the protagonists, I guess you could say.
Gotcha. Story's interesting. It was really weird because I haven't heard the intro to that game since it released back in 2002. What was it?
2003.
2003. And we've got a bumper at the beginning of some of our episodes where Yuri does some say time is like a river.
Right.
And I've heard that so many times and then to hear it in the actual game and it sounds exactly the same was just kind of a, oh yeah, that's where this is from.
Yeah, it was crazy when he references the Gaming Outsider in that game.
Yeah, no, because I was like, this sounds awesome, but he doesn't say, unless you're listening to the Gaming Outsider. That was a little off-putting, but...
yeah, but his narration is so strong in that game. It adds so much flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I don't know. It's good stuff.
Does the difficulty stay consistent, like in the back half of the game? Like, I don't feel like I'm struggling.
No,
I just keep expecting it to be like, I hit a wall of difficulty or something.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's they want you to finish that game.
Okay. I will say I see the comparisons to Assassin's Creed that you were talking about.
Oh yeah, with the tombs.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it feels like that's what you're doing. You're kind of they give you a room and you got to figure out how to navigate through it. But not only that, but also the old school control scheme of the Assassin's Creed games, where I know I'm straight up on this wall and I'm gonna run up the wall, but no, he just jumps to the side or something instead, and it's like very, very frustrating. So that is pretty cool.
Same director, for both.
Oh, well, that makes sense then. Makes sense. So yeah, I'm intrigued, man. I don't know if I'm going to continue right away. Maybe like you with Banner Saga, I'll space them out. But it's kind of cool going back. I was just so high on the Lost Crown. I just wanted more of this universe, and I missed out on it. And I hopefully will have it finished by next week because, like I said, it's not very long. And
now that because you had played the rest with the Lost Crown, you decided you were going to try out the best with Sands of Time.
So you think Sands of Time is better than Lost Crown?
Of course, yes, of course. It's not even close.
Oh my goodness!
I was also the right age, I guess, for this.
Yeah,
to play the game probably hundreds of times.
Yeah. So we may be talking about that again in the future, but we'll see. That's all I've been catching up on, just because I had something new to play as well. But let's go ahead now and jump into the week's news. All right, the first big news item obviously is going to be the state of play that Sony showcased this past week. Also, Neil Druckmann confirmed that The Last of Us Part 3 is happening for sure, as if there was any question about that. We also learned that Hi-Fi Rush might be coming to PlayStation and Switch, as well as another game that was announced just hours ago.
Also hinted at?
Yes, very heavily hinted at. So, Alyssa, why don't you go ahead and kick things off so I can say your name and ask again later on.
Okay, got it. First, let's just talk about the state of play.
Sweet. Should I just read through the list, or you guys want to just kind of pick the ones that stood out to you?
I feel like almost everything sticks out to me in some way.
Yeah,
so
it was a pretty solid state of play.
All right, let's try right off the bat. This is not the order that they were shown in the show, but how I found them. First off, they had Dave the Diver, which they announced is coming to PlayStation 5 in April, but I believe it's also coming to Xbox in April. I obviously aren't going to announce that in the Sony State of Play. But I know I've been talking highly about that one, and Zach, you would prefer to earn trophies. Do you feel like you're going to play that game now that it's coming to your platform of choice?
I think I will definitely play it at some point. The 2023 fishing games, Dredge is more interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably play that first, and then if I have a bigger fishing itch, I'll go to Dave the Diver. Most of it, he's got a buddy this time that he's bringing along.
Oh, you mean Godzilla?
Yeah, I do want to play Dave the Diver since it's coming to console, and I mean, I gotta play with Godzilla.
Gotta hang out with my boy Goji.
Whatever capacity he's in this game, I don't know if he's your friend, your foe.
I mean, just knowing how the formula of the game works, because there are like these bonus bosses that you fight that are like massive, weirdly evolved creatures. Like there's a shark that's got octopus arms. You know what I mean? Like it's just like stuff like that. So I have to imagine that Godzilla is going to be one of those bonus bosses. But that's just speculation.
Does that mean you can serve your customers Godzilla sashimi?
I hope so.
That would be awesome.
I really hope so.
Would you like some premium Godzilla meat?
Right, they're like burping at your counter, but they like a little atomic breath comes out of them.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
That would be amazing. The way the game works is that there are these characters, there's like special characters that come to your restaurant that either demand a specific type of dish, or not demand, or they ask. They implore you, and then there are there are other characters that come in to like have a a cook-off with your chef, and you have to and your chef demands certain ingredients that he's going to use in this competition against somebody. So I could see this being a like one of those situations where what's his name? It's been so long since I played the game. I want to say Bonto. Can't remember the name of the chef. It's gonna drive me crazy.
I don't know either.
So like the kamikaze pilot from -1 is gonna barge in your door and
yeah, something like
some
that.
Godzilla sushi.
I still haven't seen that movie. I really want to. That's beside the point.
I'm torn, guys, because I would like to get the achievements for this game on Xbox, but I know it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to replay the whole thing again this quickly. So, maybe in a couple years when that one's on sale for like $5, I will pick it up again and run through it.
It's always good news when more games for more people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We also got to see a lot of footage of Death Stranding 2, which now has an official name called On the Beach, which is such a weird name. I don't know. It doesn't.
Oh, it works well in the context of the story of Death Stranding.
Okay.
To me, I was like, oh, that's a great name.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess
Yeah.
I need to play the first one or at least watch a YouTube video because...
It's even funnier if you call it by the name CB calls it. Cutie Booty Delivery 2 on the beach.
Oh,
Sounds completely different now. Different context.
So what do you guys think of this this footage?
I mean, it looked visually stunning. I did not finish the first game, so I know nothing about the story.
As someone who did finish the first game, I don't know what the hell is going on.
Okay, because I was like, what's going on? It looks so cool, but I don't know what's going on.
It was cool to see Fragile there, Leah Sadu, and some more of her sand bridges. It was interesting that the director of Mad Max decided to make an appearance, George Miller, on the autopsy table for some reason. And there's a puppet that looks like Alan Wake chilling. And he was in a different frame rate than everybody else, which is kind of cool.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I thought Fragile's gloves were cool. It's like lighting cigarettes for her and stuff.
And like,
well,
they
because the
would
first time
come
you
across
see
her
it,
mouth for surgical mask. Yeah.
Yeah, it just looked like she was wearing a mask, and then later you find out that's actually something that's like a sentient being that is doing things for her. That was cool. Such a Kojima thing, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, yes, what a Kojima trailer. And then Troy Baker stopping by to look like the dude from The Crow for some reason, and
Eric Draven,
and just shooting off some electric guitar, literally shooting off electric guitar.
I was watching that going, what is going on?
I have no idea
what is going on.
Higgs in the first game, nothing about Higgs in the first game would lead me to believe he would be a punk rock Joker, band member shooting off electric guitar. Just not what I expected.
I was confused by the line that he said to is it Sam?
Sam Porter Bridges. Yep.
Yeah, he said something to the effect of, "I see you gave up your stick," or I don't remember what he said, but I see you gave up your stick for
he basically said like you're starting to fight now. Basically,
is that like a clue that this is going to be more combat focused than the first game?
That's what I took it as. Although combat in the first game had huge ramifications because if you killed anybody, the body would explode into a massive crater that would permanently alter the landscape of your game. So killing
character,
so you'd always want to take people down lethally, or there were ways to burn their bodies afterwards to make sure they didn't explode. But yeah, basically like you could really screw yourself by killing people. So the game heavily incentivized not killing people, which was nice.
Interesting. That it's cool that I haven't played it. It's interesting that they would do that without being like, just try to go non-lethal for this run, like they did in oh my god, what was the game where you played as the guy with the mask over his Corvo? Dishonored. Yeah, you know how like in Dishonored it was like I'm going to do a run where I'm killing people, I'm going to do a run where I'm not killing people. It just kind of does it organically in the environment. I should go back and play. I just got so bored in the first 2 hours, man.
It is mostly walking. That's what's funniest about the trailer to Death Stranding 2 is like I was watching all this utter nonsense, these puppets, these weird dragon creatures on George Miller's shoulder, the babies in jars, and I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm just delivering mail.
Yeah. Well, you love mail delivery games, apparently.
So it would seem.
Yeah. I mean, I do.
Something relaxing
as well.
about it.
So what about you, Alyssa? Are you gonna Like, go back and play the original and then come back to this, or do you think you're just gonna wait to hear Zach's reaction?
I would like to play the original, but I can't guarantee that I will actually go back to it. I mean, we have until 2025, sometime next year, before this comes out, presumably.
Right. There's a director's cut on PS5, guys, that has some extra content and extra options. I think you should check it out.
You can also play it on your Apple device now. Apparently, there's a
for some reason, yes.
Which is bizarre to me. Like, what?
Yeah, and in the Death Stranding 2 trailer, it seems like we're going to different countries this time as well. Mm-hmm. Since we've already reconnected America. I don't know, man. Pretty excited about this game.
I want to know if you're equally excited about his next project that he also unveiled, which is an action espionage game that somehow bridges the gap between games and movies. I don't know. When he says action espionage game, I think our brains all went to one place. Yeah. But obviously he can't do that. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going to be just like a Metal Gear Solid clone? Like, I don't know.
No, I think he'll do something different. He was never shy about not wanting to do more Metal Gear.
I know.
Like after every Metal Gear, he's like, I'm done. And then every time Konami's like, great, we're going to make one without you. And then he was like, just so worried about somebody else screwing it up that he felt compelled to do another one.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm a little surprised to see him do action espionage again. I figured he would have got that all out of his system. But I assume the check from Sony was blank.
Yeah.
And they're like, and also you can make a movie while you're at it. And he's like, deal.
Didn't he say something about doing this with Xbox as well, though? Because he's playing both sides now, which is kind of cool. But I thought he said something with that one with, I cannot remember the actress's name, but the girl that was on It, the redhaired girl on the It movie.
Sophia Lillis.
Yeah.
Yeah, OD.
OD, yeah. I thought that was,
he
was saying that was going to bridge the gap between movies and games. Well,
they both are.
Yeah, well, it seems to be his focus. But yeah, well, that one he's like working with different directors and actors, and we don't really know the context of it at all. We also don't know the context of Fizzant at all. Yeah, that seems to be what he's trying to do on both sides. I don't understand what either one is doing. They're both basically non-announcements,
right?
You know,
I mean, the big reveal where he panned the camera back and Universal is involved somehow. It was Universal, right?
Columbia Pictures, which is owned by Sony now.
Yeah. So it's going to have a heavy movie tie-in, but we just don't know what that means. And I have to imagine that's going to be like 2027 or 28 or something at this point.
They said after Death Stranding 2 released, so.
Yeah.
And after OD, right? I would guess 2030.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
This is an Elder Scrolls 6 level announcement right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get excited for this in half a decade.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Do you think it'll be like Quantum Break where they're mixing in live action, or like Alan Wake 2 where they're mixing and matching, or do you think it'll be like some weird universe thing where the movie is part of the game story or something?
My mind immediately went to what you're talking about, and I don't want that because that doesn't seem shocking enough. And if anybody's going to do something weird, it's going to be Kojima. I feel like I trust him when he promises something crazy more than I trust why can't I remember his name? The Milo guy.
Peter Molyneux?
Because Peter Molyneux would like promise all this stuff, and it's just like, okay, man.
What an outdated reference point, though.
But you know what I mean? Like, we all, like, some of us believed him when, like, Milo was a thing, and then we believed him when Fable was, You can
plant an acorn when you're a kid, and it'll grow into a tree anywhere you want in Fable.
Right.
That famous quote.
And then didn't he do that weird game where it was just like a mining game where, like, it was like a giant voxel thing, and the first person to get to the center wins. Like,
it was a cube thing, and you just tapped on it on your phone, and you made a promise that the person that got to the center would win. It was like a sum of money, I think, but I don't think
it was money and like a chance to come out to his studio and meet him, and like,
didn't you get like shares of the company as well?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I'd like to follow up on that story and see
how that guy's doing.
Yeah,
because those shares can't be worth like a ton right now, can they?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is Peter Molyneux made.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it's something revolutionary. I hope he does something that shocks and awes us, much like I just miss. I know that he's kind of got this reputation of just doing weird stuff, like with Metal Gear Solid 5 and whatever the hell Death Stranding 2 is. But I miss the stuff where he shocked us with gameplay stuff. You know what I mean? Like the swapping the controller in the original Metal Gear Solid and the Sniper Wolf missions. And
I mean, he made walking a mechanic and made it fun. That was pretty surprising.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want more of that stuff where he's surprising us with gameplay. And I hope that it incorporates somehow into movies because it's going to take a lot, because some of the CG graphics and stuff in games are getting pretty close. I mean, look at what Senua's Saga or Hellblade is doing. That's looking really impressive. But, how are you going to bridge the gap between making that an interactive medium without it just being quick time events or dialogue choices or, something like that?
Right.
If anybody's going to do something exciting in that realm, I think it's going to be him. So we'll see what happens. Moving on, Team Ninja's Rise of the Ronin, which is releasing on March 22nd. What'd you guys think of this? It looked very Sekiro to me, but a little slower paced.
I got that vibe too. I mean, it looks gorgeous, but I feel like it's going to be a game I probably won't play because of the difficulty.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. If I want to play this, I'll just go back and play Elden Ring, which I have on Xbox, and I can play anytime, and everyone raved about that, so...
Essentially, it looked more like Assassin's Creed than Sekiro to me.
Really? Okay.
In terms of structure and stuff. And it also looked like they were dispatching enemies somewhat easily, which I feel like the defining aspect of a Souls or Sekiro game is that every enemy wrecks your life if you let them. I could be wrong. That's just a vibe I got.
Well, they also don't want to showcase a game of somebody getting wrecked.
Sure, but it was just how easily it was happening, I guess, to me.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I mean, that's the only games Team Ninja makes anymore, right? Or Neo likes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not making a Ninja Gaiden 4, so
yeah,
that's
I don't know.
Really what I want.
It looked cool to me, but it looked a little too. It didn't look like you were, I don't know, engrossed in the world. I guess like a Ghost of Tsushima did.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, that to me is like, I don't know. If I'm in that period of Japan, I kind of want to feel like I'm part of that world.
Yeah, I would rather just go back and play more Ghost of Tsushima again, honestly, because that game was great.
There's a lot of it, yeah. Ghost of Tsushima 2, Assassin's Creed's going to this period. It's a lot of Japan going on.
How do you guys feel about this remaster of Until Dawn that's going to be releasing later this year?
Well, I would argue it looks more like a full-blown remake.
Oh, you'd think so?
I think so. Just the character models are very different, or at least the killer's mask didn't look just remastered; it looked totally different. However, this is dumb. This is all very dumb.
I've been in the corner of remakes, or even like the Resident Evil ones and Dead Space and things like that. I don't want to start getting behind remakes of games that haven't been out that long.
Yeah, well, to me, it's less the length, and because I feel like we were, Resident Evil got remade 6 years after it came out for the GameCube, and it was awesome. So the length of time doesn't bother me so much as Until Dawn is easily accessible and cheaply available.
Right.
So like, there's no need for the remake, and the graphics aren't so substantially better that I'm like, yeah, I'll pop down $70 for that.
Right, but people will.
Yeah. Well, the weirdest part is I assume this is synergy with the movie. But shouldn't you have just held on to this for when the movie is coming out then?
You'd think so. Like, do it even after the movie so that people can be like, oh, hey, you like the movie.
Right.
Now go play it.
I don't understand the benefit of releasing this now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just frustrating because I feel like I've always been championing remakes of great games. And don't get me wrong, I liked Until Dawn, but that is not a game that I've ever been like, man, I would love to play that one again with better graphics.
And if you haven't played it before and you're excited and you're like, oh man, that movie sounds cool, or this trailer reminds you that it existed, I'm like, why wouldn't you then just go pick it up for $15 or $20 on PS4?
Yeah.
The graphics are not $50 better.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
Stellar Blade is coming out pretty soon here, April 26th. Thoughts on Stellar Blade?
Yo, this game looks awesome. All right.
It does, yeah.
Looks freaking amazing. This is like a PS3 energy all over this game.
I thought of you when I watched this trailer.
Dude,
it looks really cool though. Like,
yeah, it is. It is not being subtle about being inspired by Nier Automata. I don't think.
It's even got a little floating thing right next to the character.
Yeah,
like
It's probably Korea's take on it, because the person that was speaking afterwards was Korean.
It is a Korean game. That's true.
So it might be Korea's take on Nier Automata. Who knows?
Well, and Square Enix isn't rushing Nier 3 out of here anytime soon. So whatever, we'll take this. It's just that whole like semi-open world kind of feel to it. I don't know. It just screamed PS3 to me in the best ways. That's a big compliment.
Yeah,
is what I mean it as, because it does look PS5, but
and one of the complaints I had about Nier Automata was just the world felt so empty and lifeless, which I understand was part of the appeal, part of the draw. But this one just looked like it had a lot more going on in the environment than Nier did.
Yeah.
So that and I still got to go back and finish Nier at some point. But
you never will. That's fine. But yeah, Eve is
challenge accepted.
Eve seems like a cool protagonist. I don't know, it's got a good look to the enemies. I just it doesn't look like it's going to be overbearing with gears and skill trees and stuff. It just looks a little simpler, harkening back to a simpler era, and I am very, very much down for that, man.
Nice. Alyssa, your thoughts on Stellar Blade?
Pretty much what Zack said. I really want to play it. It piqued my interest, and again, Eve seems like a really good protagonist. I don't know if the entire game is Korean or just part of the team, but if it's a Korean game, I want to support it because we don't get a lot of games from Korea.
Yeah. The next one is.
Wait, what about you? What about you, Scott?
I don't have a whole lot of interest, honestly.
Go to hell. Just go right to hell.
No, it's just not my kind of game, man. It like I looked at this and said this is a Zack game, true and true. And if you rave about it, I might give it a shot. But I'm not chomping at the bit. It's just not. It's not my style, So, but not every game's gonna be for me, man. I'm not knocking your taste.
You don't like sexy women. I understand.
Dragon's Dogma 2, however, is a game that really piqued my interest because I know next to nothing about the original. And this game looks epic. I mean, it just kind of looks like you can play as a mage that is just casting spells in this massive open world environment. It did feel a little Monster Hunter in some respect, which you would think would be a turnoff, but I don't know. There's something about doing Monster Hunter with magic instead of just melee weapons that appeals to me a little bit more. Thoughts?
I mean, the trailer looked cool, but I've never played Dragon's Dogma, the original, so I don't know what the story's about. I don't know how the two connect. So I'm not really interested at the moment.
Okay.
I like what I played in the first Dragon's Dogma. I hit I got a save corruption, and it deleted all of my data. So it really took the winds out of the sails of the game when I was playing it. I mean, I think this game looks cool. But yeah, for some reason, I feel like I would want to play the first game first.
And stories feel connected. Was there a story in the first one that was it very story heavy?
I don't know if I would say it was story heavy, but I don't know. There's something about, because I've just heard about how good Dragon's Dogma is all these years,
right?
That I feel like I would want to play the first game first to understand it before jumping into the second.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, pour one out for all the fans of open world action games from Japanese developers, because it's the same day as Rise of the Ronin.
Oh.
That seems, I don't know. That's rough. That's rough, buddy.
That'll probably change.
I don't know. Well, it's pretty close, man.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Stranger things have happened.
That's true.
The next trailer, as soon as it dropped, I immediately texted Kevin, our producer.
This is Kevin's game.
And shockingly, his response was, "Oh, it's so great to be excited for another game in this series," which was not the response I was expecting, because the game, of course, is Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is it's literally a remake of Sonic Generations, but with Shadow as a playable character in it. Which
it looks like it's a remaster of Sonic Generations, just with a Shadow campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm in. Hell yeah, dude! Shadow's the best part of Sonic. Obviously, everybody knows that.
That's coming out autumn 2024 on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Switch. So, yeah.
For those who have not played it, Sonic Generations is one of the best.
Is that the one I played?
I don't know.
I think
I did one for a Patreon episode, and I can't remember if that was...
I believe you did, but I could be wrong.
Did it mix 2D and 3D a lot?
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably. Yeah, you probably played Sonic Generations.
Okay. It's interesting. That's the one that Kevin had me play for a Patreon trade-off when we did Zelda versus Sonic one time.
It's kind of like the greatest hits of Sonic.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like some of the levels were from there was a Wii level.
Yeah, basically just takes levels from every Sonic game, and
it was a really stupid final boss that had you going through a tunnel. I hated that final boss, but
yeah.
Silent Hill: The Short Message is a free-to-play game that's available right now. I feel like we should probably hold off thoughts on that because you're going to talk about that shortly.
Oh, I sure do have thoughts.
But they did also show Silent Hill 2's remake, which this was news, right? This is something that we kind of were expecting, but there was no confirmation, right?
We've seen a trailer for this game.
We had?
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting old.
Yeah, I knew ahead of time. Bloober Team was in charge of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think of this trailer?
I needed Scott. Okay, so you texted us Silent Hill 2 guys or something like that.
Yeah, because I thought it was the first time we were hearing about it.
Oh,
yeah. I'm like, wait, what?
So yeah. I want to know. Did you think it looked cool?
It did not remind me of the original. Now, granted, I didn't play the second one until well into the Xbox 360 or Xbox One era. I played it on that remake version.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't play it originally. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for it, but it still felt very much like a Silent Hill game or a original Resident Evil game. This looked to have a lot more action than I remember Silent Hill having. So I don't know. It is what it is. I'll check it out. I kind of wish they would have remade Silent Hill 1 though.
They already did on the Wii.
I wish they would remake it again on a platform that
me too.
more accessible.
Because I've never played a Silent Hill game, so.
Oh, yeah, I
don't.
Know. This did not feel like Silent Hill at all.
Outside of the nurse's shots, that's all I saw.
But even they're moving around, flipping around like Resident Evil monsters, rather than the way they kind of shambled down the hallways of Silent Hill 2. I don't know. Doing a combat reveal trailer for Silent Hill 2 at all feels like you misunderstood Silent Hill.
You're right.
But I will say I think the action looked fun. It didn't look terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I was just but none of this said Silent Hill 2 to me.
No, I'm kind of in the same boat.
But it's a weird feeling because the game that I'm seeing looks fun, but it does not look like a Silent Hill game, and I can't believe Konami is not a good shepherd for this franchise. Between that weird mobile game thing last year, between Silent Hill: The Short Message, which we'll talk about shortly, and now letting Silent Hill 2 look like this, I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of hope for the Silent Hill franchise.
That's too bad because it's a really cool franchise. It was I understand it was the Resident Evil adjacent game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It wasn't trying to clone it, but it was trying to capture that magic. But they did it enough different, at least in the first couple, that I thought made it really set it apart. And I didn't get any of that from the trailer whatsoever. But
yeah, well, Silent Hill 2 excelled because of its subtlety.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why we're mantling over barricades and blasting shotguns to nurses' faces. And
I really was surprised they didn't finish the trailer with a shot of Pyramid Head.
I know.
Yeah.
That just seemed like it would have been of course he's going to be in the game. Why not give just a single shot of it or something?
He is very specifically James's monster, something the Silent Hill franchise immediately forgot afterwards.
Oh, yeah. The next game is really intriguing to me. It's called Judas. It is Ken Levine's next game, which looks very BioShocky, but
sure does.
And I'm okay with that, but it also looks like it's playing on technology being the enemy for some reason, or social media being the enemy. I don't really know what's going on, but I will definitely be playing it, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if it's more BioShock, give me more BioShock, just with a different name.
Yeah, it looks like more BioShock, as you guys say. Ken Levine, we trust. I'm excited to see what he meant by his next game is going to be like narrative Legos, where you're constructing a story that is unique to you in ways you've never seen before. I'm curious how we're going to be pulling that off and what that means. And I'm also interested in the business experiment that they're doing here too, where it's like a small team of 10 or 12 or whatever it was when it started, and it is still the same budget of a AAA game would normally be, but stretched out instead of over 4 or 5 years to be stretched out over like 10 years. So it's basically like letting a smaller, intimate team work longer on a project that'll still be AAA, and it's a very unique experiment. One I am surprised 2K of all people would back, but I guess he did start this, hot off the heels of BioShock Infinite being a huge hit. So I guess they just let him run with it. So I feel like it could be an interesting experiment, no matter what. And of course, it's got Ken Levine's name on it. I'm there.
Yep, totally. Just put it in my hands. I can't believe it's been that long since
Infinite 2013.
Yeah, like it's just nuts to me. V Rising coming to PSV in 2024. This is a game that did release in early access on PC in 2022. I don't have much to say about that one. You guys?
I don't either. It doesn't look like my cup of tea.
Well, I thought it looked cool. I'm not a survival. I don't like survival games, but the vampire spin on it, and you're building your own little castle, and you're sucking people's bloods for bonus attacks, and so I don't know. Sounded cool. If Hades was my way into the roguelike genre, I feel like this might be my way into the survival genre. It just looks.
Okay.
I thought it looked cool. And
not Pal World, huh?
No, not Pal World.
Well, as much as I will say, vampires are more appealing than
Pokemon.
Pals.
Yeah, as much fun as it seems to be to give a Pikachu an AK-47, I think I'd rather have to worry about the sun coming out and just terrorizing towns along the landscape or whatever.
What about vampire Pokemons?
That could be cool.
I said Pokemons. I think the plural is just Pokemon,
isn't
it?
Pokemon, yeah.
Yeah.
And somewhat appealing for me on V Rising is that it is not procedurally generated. The map is the map.
Oh.
Which I think sounds significantly more interesting to me.
Interesting. Zenless Zone Zero is in development. Is all we got. We don't have any date or anything like that.
I really thought that was Honkai Star Rail until they showed the name of the game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Metro Awakening is a game in the Metro series coming to VR later this year. Legendary Tales, PSVR 2 game. These are just a couple of I'm running through these kind of quick.
I mean, they both look cool, and Metro makes sense in VR because you're already wiping your mask clean and stuff in the base game, but also they're VR games, so I'm never going to play them.
Yeah, same here.
Legendary Tales also just look kind of basic.
I thought it looked a little wacky to me. It's smashing skeletons through tables or whatever. You're doing wrestling moves on skeletons. I don't know. It sounded kind of fun.
And then Foam Stars, which is coming to PlayStation Plus this week.
Boo.
Why are you so dead against that one? Just because it's Splatoon on PlayStation?
AI
I don't care. That's
usage.
Well, I don't care. Well, the AI stuff does suck. But no, I don't even care that it's a Splatoon ripoff. As we talked about last week, ripoffs are just part of the industry.
Right.
I just think this game looks bad and boring.
Okay. I have no interest.
No interest.
Me neither.
I don't know. The idea of covering a world in paint sounds cool. The idea of covering it up in soap bubbles? What the hell are we doing here?
Yeah. And then lastly, Helldivers 2, which is releasing on February 8th. So this Thursday? By the
time you're listening to this, yeah. Yeah, it feels like a lot of games come out on Thursdays now.
Yeah. Looks cool. Don't know if I don't think I'm going to try it.
No, I question a lot of the marketing decisions behind this game.
What do you mean?
Oh, well, releasing this kind of game as $40 in this market is already risky.
Mm-hmm.
But putting it out 2 days behind Foam Stars, which you're giving free to everybody, just seems weird to me.
Yeah. I mean, those are vastly different tones.
I understand that, but I'm saying if you're like a multiplayer crew when you're looking for something new to play, it's going to be a lot easier to say, well, let's play this thing that's already included in our subscription.
Yeah,
than it is to try this hardcore kind of sci-fi shooter. I think Helldivers 2 looks cool, and I like the first Helldivers quite a bit. And I absolutely, if February wasn't what it is, I would probably play Helldivers 2 just out of memories of the first game. But I don't know, man. It's just I'm curious what PlayStation's decisions were on this.
Interesting. All right, well, that's the state of play. That was everything that was shown there. Let's move on to another story. Zach, which one would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I guess we should talk about Hi-Fi Rush will be coming to PlayStation and Switch.
Yeah.
It has seemed increasingly likely this is happening.
Yeah. I mean, this seems kind of like, well, duh.
Right, because a Redditor data mined some T-shirts right in the game.
Right.
That seems pretty cut and clear, only because there's a blue shirt with "I'm Here, Baby," which could be taken as PlayStation, but when you use it in conjunction with the Nintendo red shirt that says "Rock Out Anywhere," because you can take a Switch game anywhere.
Yep.
Or the green shirt that says "Shadow Dropped," it seems pretty clear that the blue one is for PlayStation.
Yeah.
And this was Xbox's big Shadow Drop exclusive last year that got a lot of people talking.
And it got a Game Award nomination.
Yeah. So it is not surprising to see it coming to Switch. Ori already came to Switch. It doesn't feel like a stretch to see Hi-Fi Rush there. But seeing it on PlayStation, that's crazy, man. You're going to see that Xbox logo while you're booting up your PlayStation Japanese action game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty weird.
Oh, and not only that, but even today, hours before we started recording, I can't even remember which publication it was. It was one I was not familiar with. Xbox Era said that they have an insider source that revealed that it's not the only game that's going to be coming to PlayStation as well. Why can't I think of the name of it?
Starfield?
Thank you.
What is going on?
I just had a total brain fart. I did not write. If I don't write it down, man. If I don't write it down, if I don't have a script.
Ron Burgundy.
Starfield is supposedly coming to PS5 as well, which is awesome. I know, the console war thing is so dumb to me. I would just rather everybody get a chance to play it, and I wonder if this is just for that reason or because maybe they want to recoup. I don't know. Because that game is very divisive in terms of its critical appeal.
Although I bet all those PlayStation fans who said it was absolutely terrible are going to all of a sudden rave about how good it is.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
I think, the Starfield thing in particular is interesting. I remember back when they first acquired Bethesda, I remember saying on this very show that there would be no better marketing for Game Pass than releasing the same game up for $70 on PlayStation.
Right.
Because enough of those happen. Like, how many Bethesda games do you have to buy before you're like, boy, this is stupid?
Yeah.
Like, why am I spending all this money instead of going over Game Pass?
Zack.
So like I think it's a smart marketing move. I feel bad for Xbox gamers, dude. For like ones that are like really trying to fight for the brand or they really love the Xbox, because now every Xbox exclusive that releases, all I'm going to thinking about is, boy, can't wait to get the platinum on that.
Yeah. So you're okay waiting and paying $70?
I guess it depends on the game ultimately. If it's for Starfield, no, I'm just gonna play it on Game Pass. I guess for most of them, I would probably just play them on Game Pass, even though I love a physical game. But like if Indiana Jones was coming out on PlayStation later, I might double dip. I might get a disc of that or something like that. But I don't know. You raise an interesting point, Scott, of like when Doom comes out on PlayStation or Xbox, am I just gonna play it on Game Pass or would I pick it up? Because I'm gonna feel dumb if I buy it on PlayStation. But is the power of the ecosystem to which I am accustomed strong enough?
I'm trying to think how I would feel if I were the other way around. Because if PlayStation had a Game Pass service akin to Game Pass, and I could play it there, but I just play it on PlayStation, I feel like I would just play it on PlayStation, even though I would rather have the achievements. I mean, I could go rebuy Dave the Diver and play through that game, have fun with it, and get the achievements, but I don't think that will happen.
Right, like to me, like Persona, to me, it feels like a PlayStation franchise, but can I really justify paying $70 to play the remake on PlayStation 5 when it is just on Game Pass?
Right.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. And the last story I just want to mention briefly is that Neil Druckmann's confirmation that The Last of Us Part 3 is happening. Apparently there was a 2-hour documentary about the making of Part 2. And he said that he's figured out a concept for the story and that there's, quote, there's probably one more chapter to the story. Obviously, this is a long way off since Naughty Dog has a new IP next, and the game sounds like it's only in concept phase right now. But I thought this is worth mentioning because we all kind of finished Part 1 and said, well, we don't need a Part 2. And we finished Part 2 and we're like, this one kind of doesn't need another one.
I'll say when I finished part 2, I feel like part 2 justifies a part 3 more than part 1 justified a part 2.
Yeah, I feel like that.
I would
as well.
agree, but I wouldn't have
Ellie.
been mad if it didn't happen. But
Sure, I just
clearly,
feel like
the success of the game is warrants a third.
they set Ellie where Ellie ends in part 2. I think there's a very reasonable arc she can go through in part 3.
Mm-hmm. They're just gonna have to really, really go some places to top the darkness of the second one.
Well, I suspect it won't be as dark.
I think so.
I think it's gonna be more of a redemptive tale for Ellie.
Mm.
But dude, I love Last of Us. Give me part 3. Absolutely.
Yep.
That's fine. Part 2 was a game that I was mad existed and then fell deeply in love with.
Right.
So I was
Mhm.
wrong. Part 1, it turned out, did need a part 2.
Yeah, right. On a side note, Abby has been cast for the second season of the HBO show. Caitlin, is it Deaver or Dever?
I think so.
I think it's Deaver.
Deaver. She's from. I know her from the movie Booksmart, which is more of a comedy than anything dark. But she was also in Justified, which I assume Zach would remember her from there.
Yeah.
She's
Poor
also
Dash.
really good in Dope Sick.
Okay. And I think she was on Last Man Standing with Tim Allen. He played one of his.
Oh, yeah?
One of the the youngest daughter.
All right.
Which I've not watched, but I'm kind of curious. My brother loves that show, and I keep meaning to go watch it. So
I look forward to seeing how jacked she will get.
That's the thing is, like,
yeah,
when
she's very tiny.
Yeah. Well, when I saw this article posted, the title image of the article was a picture of Abby from the game, and I just forgot how ridiculously jacked she was in that game. Like, it was off-putting how jacked she was. It just didn't look right. It looked off somehow.
And it looked interesting to me.
Yeah. So, anyway, I thought that was...
yeah. But as we have seen 1,000 times in Hollywood, people get jacked out of nowhere. So
Yep.
look forward to seeing how huge Caitlin Deaver gets for... I just think it's a shame that they're going to have to call in a favor to the president and get Secret Service agents to protect this woman. I think it's just unfortunate that that's a reality.
What do you mean?
Because people are going to try to kill her, man.
Because she's playing the character?
Yes.
I
yeah.
see where you're going with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Based on what we just saw about what Laura Bailey went through in that documentary.
Yep.
Can only this is a much wider audience.
Mm-hmm.
Although a much less insane audience than diehard video game players.
I don't know. Sometimes people with TV shows get pretty.
They do, but they killed off a major character at the end of season 1 of Game of Thrones in a way that you would have never seen coming, and people still watch that show.
Well, I mean, it's hard to turn away after that episode.
Right.
It was very difficult. All right, well, that's the news. I want to remind everybody very quickly about our Patreon. If you'd like to score some extra episodes, be sure to head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We got different tiers. At the $3 tier, you get 1 bonus episode. At the $5 tier, you get 2 bonus episodes. Zach, you want to let everybody know what they can listen to right now and what's coming on the horizon?
Sure. Right now we have a Desert Island game episode. Me and you being the guests of honor.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, with Paul Hine being our guest host. It was a lot of fun gaming outsider lore added to the repertoire in that one. And then there was also the Break the Seal episode on the Super Mario RPG with Kevin Honeyford and David Newman. And then upcoming episode, you recorded a Meet the Patrons episode with Paul Hine and Tim Paulin, correct?
Yes, that should be up this week. We tried something new. It's not the Desert Island games episode that Zach kind of spearheaded with Patreon, where we ask about favorite games and that. This is just an opportunity for those that support the Patreon to come on and join us for an episode to talk about the games they've been playing and weigh in their thoughts on anything that's been happening in the news industry. So it's just giving listeners a voice, as it were. And it was a lot of fun. Paul and Tim are both great guys.
Right, and then you and I, Scott, have been discussing a Break the Seal. You really want me to play the Lone Ranger, which makes sense because you bought it for me at RTV2.
Yeah. I figured you
yeah.
weren't going to be able to play it with the original hardware, but I figured you could emulate it.
Yeah, unless you want to ship me an NES. No, I can't play it right now. But that or, I would love to talk to you more in depth about Sands of Time, of course.
Yeah, like I said, I'm halfway through it, and that would be I guess that could be a Break the Seal. Since I guess. I played the beginning of it, but I never got through it as a kid. So
all you seem to remember from it was, no, that's not right.
That's not right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not how it happened. I'm kind of bummed that you can skip through that. You know, when you die, you can just kind of, because I'm the kind of
Oh.
person I just want to get through it. I wish it would keep playing that, even though I hit go on. Like, no, let me start this again. But
That's a very specific nitpick.
yeah, I like Yuri Lowenthal's voice. What can I say?
Absolutely, but jeez. And then presumably at some point we'll do a piece of mind, but we got to schedule that.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Got to do another one of those. Well, let's go ahead now. And again, if you want to get some bonus episodes and help us out, go to patreon.com/thegocast. Let's now jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, tell us what new games are coming out on the horizon that people can check out.
You can play golf till your arms fall off and golf in it. Coming to Switch February 9th. Game I'm very excited for, Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden, which continues just better and better with each trailer. Comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC February 13th. Ultros makes its way to PS5, PS4, and PC February 13th. Lords of Exile is coming out on every console and PC February 14th. Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, which is a very old school looking game, coming out on every console and PC February 14th. Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered, hell yeah, coming to every console and PC February 14th. A Little to the Left comes off of Switch and on a PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One February 15th. And then Plate Up comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, and Switch February 15th. Alyssa, which game are you stoked for here?
There are two, and I believe they'll probably match yours.
I would assume so.
Banisher's Ghost of New Eden looks amazing. I really want to play that. And of course, I mean, I gotta buy Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered because that's my girl.
Of course, yeah.
That's how I got started gaming those games.
And it's Laura's birthday.
Yes.
So we gotta treat
celebrate.
her right.
Yeah. So those two.
Understood. Tomb Raider Kindred Spirits. What about you, Scott?
I'm intrigued in the Tomb Raider remasters as well because I've actually never played them. I think I held a controller and controlled Laura swimming for about 5 minutes, and I've never touched it since. Not that I didn't like it, I just didn't have access to the games when I was younger. So, but I'm also slightly intrigued in Plate Up, but mostly because I like Overcooked so much. I'm hoping this one maybe is a little bit easier to play with people because, man, that the Overcooked and Overcooked 2 are friendship enders.
Yeah, divorce primers.
Seriously, and I love those games, but I hit a wall with those where I just like they start doing this thing where you can't access the map in certain areas, and I just did not like that, and I feel like I missed the whole second or final third of a really awesome game just because I could not get past this one level. So maybe Plate Up will scratch that itch.
There you go.
How about you?
Then, as for me, Banisher's Ghost of New Eden, I think just looks exceptional, and it is so nice to see a brand new IP, brand new world, coming out with a decent budget behind it. Like, it seems like Focus actually believes in this game, which is great. I think it looks awesome, and it's all about love. And who doesn't love a good love story? And it looks like a lot of hard decision making. I think it looks great. And then, Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered, of course, I will be checking out. I keep forgetting that the PC-only expansion packs that came out for the early Tomb Raider games are included in this remaster.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's going to be brand new Tomb Raider content for me, stuff I've never checked out.
Me too. So
that's wonderful. And it's so smart to get rid of the grid controls for people if they don't want that. It's hard. It's almost hard to imagine this game without backing up one grid space so you can get enough sprinting room or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But it's going to be making it a lot more playable for a lot of people, and it seems like they keep talking about how they touch up the FMV cutscenes as well. It seems like an all around great package. I'm very excited for it. So both of those I will be checking out.
There you go. Well, I want to talk to Alyssa about a new game that she's been checking out for us called Rearview Mirror. Now, you are the queen of narrative adventures, but this one has a hook that I find very interesting. Can you let everybody know what that hook is?
Well, I don't know what the hook is that you're referring. Narrative hook, or
how you communicate with the other people in the story.
Okay. Well, you're playing as a by the way, this game's in early access at the moment, so it's not finished.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing as a man named Salvatore Sal, Marino, and he's just been released from prison. He's trying to get his life back on the right track, so he takes a job as a driver, but it's a little bit shady. And the way you talk to your clients, I guess you'd call them, is you look in your rearview mirror of the car and you speak to them that way, which there is no voice acting, I will say that. You select your choices through dialogue prompts. And that influences how your story branches out, what happens. Is really I didn't get to play much of it. I got to play 3 out of 12 episodes and 3 interludes that they call them. Right. And the interludes are styled like comic book segments, which they looked really cool, and they do have sound effects that very well done. Like it'll say screech when a car pulls up and it makes a screeching sound. Those are really cool, but it leaves you off at a point where you just had or for me, I'd just become really interested in the story, and then it's like, that's all. Wait for the full release.
When does it come out?
There's not a set date yet, but it did say they hope to be out of early access by March. Okay. So maybe March, April. I'm not sure.
I mean, it's only like $4 right now to get in on this.
So if you want to play the game, I would highly recommend buying it now, because they said the price will increase once the final product is released, which I don't know how much it'll increase. But you get to play 3 episodes right now for $4.
So does it leave you on a cliffhanger, or does it leave you on a, I'm finally interested in the story and I want to keep going and now I'm cut off?
It is a cliffhanger. So, and I got both. I tried different endings, and every ending's a cliffhanger with that one episode. But you do want to know more, and you want to see what happens to Sal. So I'm intrigued to play more of it. It's just, it only took me 30 minutes to play the entire thing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, wow.
But I am a fast reader, and that's pretty much all you're doing is reading. Besides making the dialogue choices.
Okay. And that is, again, Rearview Mirror from Cubus Games, and was provided to us by Super Indie Games, so thanks to those guys for hooking us up with that one.
Yes, but you, Scott, playing Slot Shots Pinball Ultimate Edition. Scott Clark playing a pinball game. Who knew?
Yeah. Shocking.
Yeah,
this one out on your Steam Deck, right?
I did. Much like when I was playing Sands of Time, I had some tweaking I had to do. I actually had to contact the developer, Pinblend Studios, and ask for help, because you know me, I'm not super savvy when it comes to PC stuff and making tweaks and everything like that. Because this game straight up would not play for me at first. No matter what I did, like you play a pinball game, and before you start the game, I was able to press left and right on the D-pad, and it would move the flippers. But once I actually figured out how to get the ball into the field, no matter what I did, it would not do anything. I could not flip the flippers, so I'm like, well, this is frustrating. So I had to learn the hard way that there are some settings you can do where Steam has some built-in like prefab control schemes, based on individual games. So you go in and you just have to select the right control scheme, which I didn't know. I was kind of surprised it didn't just default to that. But once I got it, it was all gravy. It was good. And Slot Shots Pinball is a collection. I believe that some of these tables have been on Steam for a while. This is the first time I've gotten into this series of pinball games. What immediately drew me to this is that, there's nothing licensed. These are all, they feel like old school pinball tables. There's not a lot of goofy stuff going on the tables like in the Pinball FX ones, where you've got characters that are dancing around, which I understand the appeal of that. But I kind of miss the old school feel of actually playing a pinball table. And like I said, none of these are licensed, so everything is original. There are some that are adjacent. Like there's one that is clearly based on retro video games. Like it's got Mario tubes and mushrooms and stuff. It's very bright and colorful, and it's got this pixel art going and MIDI music, and it's really fun. The thing that I really like about this game is that as much as it requires you to have some skill, there's also a fun element of luck to it, which I found really, really fun. There are certain targets that you hit that will cause a slot machine type thing in the bottom of the screen to roll. And if you get a match 3 of something, you get just massive amounts of points. So you could get really lucky and just get massive points just because you got a good slot machine roll. Purely random, but it adds an element of fun to it, and it really kind of makes you want to just go for those instead of the normal targets or the normal missions. But it adds an element to it that that's not the first time it's ever been in a pinball table before. Those have been in there, but it seems so much more forward here, and I really kind of like it. And the last thing that I really enjoyed about this, and I can't confirm this for all the tables, but and this sounds like a weird thing to praise, but I feel like all of the tables are running on the same point economy. And what I mean by that is when I play other tables, like in Pinball FX, some tables 5 million points is a lot of points, whereas in some tables you'll get 5 million points just by draining the ball. You know what I mean? So like you never really know what one score means unless you're comparing it to another leaderboard. So it's kind of fun because I don't have any friends yet on this game because it's not released until I think Thursday. So it's like even though there are leaderboards, and I actually am 9th in one of the tables on my first try. So I don't know what that says about me.
Hey, good job.
Yeah. But it also kind of gives you a comparison, and I'm assuming this was done intentional, that if I reach this level of points, I know what I'm going to know what I'm shooting for on the next table. Which, if you play a lot of pinball tables, that might make more sense. But it's great. I am really, really digging this. I don't know the price of it, but there's something like 12 or 15 tables included in it, and they're all uniquely different. And one other thing I really like is that there's music on each table running the entire time. So like the other ones that I'm used to are just very thematic, and there's maybe just some ambient stuff, but there actually feels like there's theme songs for each individual table, and they're really, really good. The physics do feel different than what I'm used to, but I think they feel more like a real pinball table than the floaty physics that I'm used to. So it's kind of a fun change of pace, and I'm really digging Slot Shots Pinball Ultimate Edition, and I'm hoping some of my Steam friends might pick it up so I can have some friends leaderboards as well instead of just the worldwide. So if you like pinball, I would recommend it.
Hit Scott up if you like pinball.
Yeah.
Note to indie or small game publishers, please stop making it a Da Vinci Code scenario about me trying to figure out your price point before release.
Yeah.
I don't really understand this. A lot of smaller games just don't tell you their price beforehand. It's very frustrating.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it's just like you can't budget for it. You don't know. Yeah, it's obnoxious.
Inform your audience the price.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is that. Thanks to the developer, they hooked us up with a code, and they've been very responsive to me, which is really cool. And I feel like if you read their press release and some of the stuff that's buried in the game, it is this is very much a labor of love for them, and that you could tell they love him. They said it took them like 2.5 years to put all these tables together, but the quality is really good. It feels really, really good.
Time well spent.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm liking it. Zach, I want to hear your thoughts on Silent Hill, the short message. I inferred from your earlier comments that your thoughts are not positive, but I watched this in the state of play. I truly don't understand what it is, because it looks like AAA graphics, but I know it's free to play, so I have to assume that it's not going to be a full-blown Silent Hill game. What is the short message?
Well, you can, I guess PT would be your closest reference point, because that was also a stunning-looking game.
Very much what screamed to me when I watched this trailer. It very much gave me PT vibes in the sense of the scale, yeah.
But the big difference with PT is that it was good.
Oh, okay.
I
was hoping this would be interesting.
So this is Silent Hill: The Short Message is mostly a walking simulator with chase sequences. It is
chase sequences.
It is short. It's about 90 minutes. So it's very, very manageable to finish. It doesn't, if you use PT as a reference point, that had a lot of like clever tricks and gimmicks and then very unique puzzles and stuff like that. None of that's going on here. This is mostly, you're walking around a room picking up clues or whatever, and then you're moving on, and that's fine. I love a good walking simulator. But the premise of this game is you're playing as this young woman. I believe Anita is her name. It's difficult because she's close friends with somebody named Amelia. They both have this. Anita and Amelia are not that different of names, and they also look strikingly similar to the point where I thought they were the same character, but they are not. But anyway, and she's trapped in this apartment building. She was there to meet a friend, and she's coping with the suicide of a close friend that happened recently. And so you're kind of navigating her trauma, I guess, around that.
Okay.
And oh boy. The writing is amongst perhaps the worst I've seen in a video game, maybe ever.
Ooh.
Oh my god!
It is as subtle as a car crash about how suicide is bad, and just the way the characters talk are so non-human, and your main character is basically narrating every room she walks in the whole time, which to me it just kind of goes against the horror vibes when your character won't shut the hell up. It's just like kind of hard to get caught up in it or whatever. But it's also just like she's just saying the stuff you saw anyway. And you'll like cut to a flashback where you're seeing characters talk about how like it's not like these characters are like talking about their sadness. They'll say stuff like the world would be better off without. And then but then it's supposed to be a surprise that your friend killed herself. She's straight up telling you. There's no room for misunderstanding what she's saying. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't know. It just hits you over the head constantly. And then the main horror are these chase sequences where a very cool looking monster design is chasing you in these maze like environments, and if it catches you, it's an automatic death. But two notes about these sequences: one, the camera always goes like staticky, like a malfunctioning camcorder beforehand.
Yeah.
So you can never be surprised by the chase sequences. Which I guess is somewhat similar to Silent Hill with the radio, where it would go all staticky when monsters are nearby.
Mm-hmm.
But in that one, you're like, well, where is the monster? They're hidden in the fog, or where are they in this building? In this game, you're only ever going down a hallway, so it's going to be right behind that door.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not. You can never be surprised. And then the chase sequences are so goofy because it's basically like you'll run down this hallway, right? And then there's let's say there's a little circle area that you go around the left of the circle and you continue down the hallway, right? Oh no, the monster is at the end of the hallway. What will you do? So you just have to go back to the circle and run around it, wait for the monster to start going around it. So you're just goading it like it's a sheep, and then you just keep running down the hallway.
It's like in a sitcom when two people are trying to catch each other around the kitchen table and they juke each other out.
It's a Bugs Bunny cartoon. So it's not at all scary. And then the last chase sequence of the game is you're doing that, but you have to find these 5 objects in the maze whilst also not getting killed. And it's just it's so tedious, man. It's just so boring. It's not at all scary. It's funnier than it is scary. And then when you die, it just feels annoying. It doesn't, you don't feel like, ah!
How long was it?
The game itself?
Mm-hmm.
90 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's pretty.
What's the appeal? Or, I'm not sorry, not appeal, but what's the strategy for this? If it's a free to play game, I can't imagine there's microtransactions. Is this just a pure marketing thing?
Yeah, exactly. This is just it's like an extended movie trailer. That's what it feels like. It's just like, hey, remember Silent Hill exists. Okay. So it's just like a piece of marketing, which is exactly what PT was. It was just, hey, play through this for 2 hours, and then, hey, look, a Silent Hill trailer. But this is the difference is that Hideo Kojima was involved in that, and he's brilliant. And then whoever the hell made this is not.
Gotcha.
Also, I don't know. It the old man in me. There's it opens up with a trigger warning for suicide, which is acceptable. I understand that's just how things are or whatever. But it also does that every 40 minutes of the game.
Really?
And it's just And
it's
I understand
just because of our litigious society.
Well, I understand the value of a content warning in the modern era. That is something people appreciate. I personally feel they leave no room for surprise when they're too detailed. That's just me. But even if you do appreciate these, do you need it to remind you every 40 minutes that killing yourself is a bad idea?
Right.
No.
That is, it just adds to the game's total lack of subtlety. I do not understand that, and I wish I could properly describe to you the writing, but I really can't. It's so obnoxious.
I see your point though about the warnings potentially like ruining an experience, because I want people to play Doki Doki Literature Club so bad.
Right.
But when you buy that game and it looks like a cute anime dating sim kind of thing, and then it's got this warning on it that has like, this involves this and this, something's coming.
Right.
Kind of the fun of that game is saying, dude, you got to play this game. Just trust me. Just play it.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to sound like an insensitive old man, but Doki Doki is a perfect example of like, that game would not have worked as it did on me if I knew what it was going in.
Yep.
And the content descriptions would let me know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a visual novel that for some reason people couldn't stop talking about. So it's like, all right, I'll check that out.
Yep. And
what a twist. But yeah, Silent Hill short message. Even though it is free, I would say do not play it.
Wow.
Your 90 minutes is spent better elsewhere. And that this is the huge Silent Hill return to consoles after all this time is an absolute shame. And this combined with Silent Hill Ascension is just a real back-to-back punch in the face that Konami does not know.
Was that the Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah, where it had like the fan voting thing.
Yeah.
And it just, boy, yeah. This is whoever made this game. I don't feel like has ever played a Silent Hill game before.
It's too bad.
That's what it feels like. It does do the cool, like the paint falling off the wall and falling like ashes when you go into the nightmare world. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
However, also
it's Siren.
No, it's also not in Silent Hill.
Oh,
it's in Germany. So
does it tie? I mean, so there's no tie to the original stories at all?
There's like one note you pick up where they talk about the Silent Hill phenomenon, which makes people want to kill themselves, I guess. If I remember the note correctly.
Okay.
And no, I would say, I mean, it's not really tied into Silent Hill.
That's sad. I feel like that series has so much potential to be something awesome. I just feel like they're letting it go.
But, for one, you would kind of want it to be in the sleepy little town of Silent Hill.
Yeah. I mean,
presumably.
I don't know.
I don't know, guys.
That's too bad, man.
Even for free. This is not a commercial worth playing.
What? That's on the back. That's a box quote. This is a commercial not worth playing.
Yeah, and it's just, if this is indicative of the quality of the franchise as they see it going forward, we're in real trouble.
Well, thanks for taking a bullet for me, man, because I was going to do it, and I'm glad you did it instead of me. But
there's no reason to play this.
Okay.
There's no reason to even watch the cutscenes on YouTube. Like, this is a total, just skip it.
Okay. Well, before we get on to our topic, I want to remind everybody about where you can follow the Gaming Outsider. I mentioned already facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We got an awesome community over there. New member Brandon Winquist, is joined in this past week, so I want to say a shout out to him. Also, our Discord server is where we got some good conversations going as well. There's a link in the show notes. Drop us a review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to shows. We will read it on the show if you do so. And lastly, our website, thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all of our episodes as well as all of our written content, including Zack's review of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. He wrote a fantastic write-up about that. And Alyssa's review of Rearview Mirror, which is also very, very good. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. It's one of our favorite times of the month where we ask all of you for questions that we can answer here on the show. Most are video game related, but much to Zack's satisfaction, some are not. So we're just going to jump right into it and kick things off on Facebook. Zack, why don't you start?
Sure. Sean Coates writes in, with a new Prince of Persia game out, and after the controversial comment by the director of subscriptions, it got me wondering, at what point in time or what span of time would you say was peak Ubisoft? I'm going to say a 10-year period roughly beginning in the mid-2000s up to about 2014 or 15. Do you agree? Discuss, converse, do your thing. Peak Ubisoft, guys. What do you think?
I was really into Ubisoft for a while when I got my PS3 initially, because that's when I played Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, Revelations, played Far Cry 3, loved all those. But that kind of fell off after those. So whatever those years were for those games, which they had already been, Assassin's Creed 2 had already been released by the time I got my PS3, but I don't think Brotherhood had been yet. Or maybe it had. Revelations had not been, I know for sure.
That was 2011. So it's 2009 was 2, Brotherhood was 2010, and Revelation 2011. That helps you.
So I would say probably 2010, 2011 is when I first started, and then through Far Cry 3. And then I tried Far Cry 4, couldn't really get into it. And I never played 3. I know you guys love it, but I never played Assassin's Creed 3.
Scott does.
I did.
Yeah, for me, I would say 2003 to 2012. That's what I'm going to call it. 2003 was Sands of Time and Beyond Good and Evil, and things got started in 2002 with Splinter Cell. Don't get me wrong, but from 2003 to 2012, like pretty much anything with Ubisoft's logo on it, I wanted to check out. Yeah. I think all the Tom Clancy games were very interesting to me. I really loved them back when they actually felt like Tom Clancy games. You know, and they took the tactics and the espionage seriously. You know, you had so many Prince of Persia games coming out during that time. You had the whole Sands of Time trilogy. You had the 2008 reboot. You had the Forgotten Sands of 2010. Like, those were bangers. You had that's the whole Desmond Miles saga of Assassin's Creed came out during that time. But I really think Assassin's Creed 3 was amazing. And then, but I think that was the last time where like I felt in love with Ubisoft. I've liked and loved different games from them since then, of course. But that was really that was peak Ubisoft.
I think mine's going to be just a little bit more recent than yours, because I obviously didn't get into the Prince of Persia games like you did. And Splinter Cell, I think the first Splinter Cell I played was Conviction. So was that even Ubisoft at that point? I don't even.
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they own the rights.
I did enjoy it, but for me, Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed 4, and I think Far Cry 3 was in there as well. I could not get enough of those games, especially 3 and 4. I did get into 4. So I feel like after Assassin's Creed 4 and after Far Cry 4, I liked Far Cry 5. So, but it was starting to fall a little bit. I never finished 6. Like, I should go back and play 6 because it's my kind of game, but the map felt more confusing. So, interesting story, though, with Ubisoft. I wasn't really super into Ubisoft as a name until the Assassin's Creed games came out. I was not even aware of Assassin's Creed until it was already out. For some reason, I was not on my radar. I was at a Dave & Buster's with Chris Owens, and we were sitting down, and you know how you get the tickets and you can win prizes and stuff like that? They had Assassin's Creed in the as one of the things you could spend your tickets on, and I was like, I've never heard of this game. And he's like, dude, it's like huge. You got to check it out. And I checked it out. And I kind of fell in love with the series at that point. But it's just weird that someone like me that is just as into games as I am just had never even heard of it until after it was released. So
yeah, that's insane.
I know. That's where my head was. It was, honestly, BioShock was the same way. I was same back year? I never I knew the name. Like back
I was just saying that, Assassin's Creed and BioShock both started in 2007.
Yeah. Oh, so I thought you were saying near the game.
Yeah. No, same year.
Same year.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So maybe you were just busy that year.
I must have been because I remember some people talking about it. I was perusing the Rotten Tomatoes forums back then, and they were talking about it like crazy right before release, but I had never even heard of it. I never saw like a trailer or anything until like right before the game came out, and obviously fell in love with it right away. So, but yeah, that's a long-winded response for you there, Sean. But
yeah, well, Ubisoft was also so experimental during like Beyond Good and Evil, or that weird King Kong game that came out at that time, or 13, the like cel-shaded shooter.
Oh yeah,
like they did weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They were early adopters of Xbox Live Arcade. Big supporters of the Wii at launch. Like, I don't know, man. They were a cool company once upon a time. And now they make Skull and Bones.
Well, allegedly.
Without the ampersand.
I do think it's worth just repeating, though. He brought up this controversial comment by the director of subscriptions. I keep hearing people talk about that negatively to this day, and I think it's still worth mentioning that Zack pointed out that whole thing was taken out of context. If you read the interview, he was asked, what would it take to increase subscriptions? And his response was, people would have to be okay with giving up ownership of their games. That is a perfectly fine answer to that question.
Right. That is the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Right. And he also defended how gamers don't want to, and it makes sense to him. Like, you just have to read the interview.
Yep.
But yeah, every article about it outside of the actual article with the interview just totally mischaracterizes the entire situation. Probably because, it drives more engagement on their websites.
Well, and to be fair, I was about to do the same thing when I posted it in here. I didn't read the interview, so I am a bad journalist, man.
I mean, the articles themselves just hid the interview in a one hyperlinked word. And people don't click on hyperlinks usually.
No, that's what. Look, I hate to be in the position to have to defend a executive.
Yeah.
Nothing makes me angrier. But none of those articles about the interview seem to have read the interview, which is very frustrating. Because if you're going to get all up in arms, angry about this guy saying you got to be okay not owning your games, you need to understand the context.
Yep.
And I don't think that's on you, Sean, or anybody else listening, or the readers. Like, it's up to the journalists to do their jobs and give you the information fairly.
Yeah, it feels like journalism is less about reporting the news and writing something that's going to get people fired up.
Exactly.
Which, that's just even regular news, not non-entertainment news, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's very frustrating.
All right, Alyssa, you want to read the next one?
Sure. Tim Paulin writes, this year I'm not buying any new games simply because I have FOMO for my backlog. Question for the cast. Have you ever done a year of shame to catch up?
FOMO for my backlog is a great name for my upcoming album.
I think it's my memoir.
Yeah.
I've never done this. I don't think I could do it, man. I seriously think I would struggle. Because I could say it like this year, if it weren't for Lost Crown and Final Fantasy, maybe I could. But again, that's what else is coming out? Something's going to come up, and I'm going to be like, no, I got to play that.
Right.
I'm the same way.
I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
But even with the, of course I can easily use the podcast like, well, I got to play the new games. I got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But even if we didn't have the podcast, I think it'd be impossible to go a whole year and be like, yeah, I'll just wait on Stellar Blade. I don't think so.
You know what we should do? We should make a pact.
Oh my God, no.
The first, whenever this is done, whenever the Gaming Outsider has just completed its run, we have no idea when that's going to be. But like that year, the next full calendar year, we all try it. We all just try to go a year without playing anything new.
That'll be the year where they're like, and here's a Final Fantasy IX remake.
Yeah. That's not new. I would.
Would
remakes count?
I don't know. FF7 would count. Or Anyway.
Yeah.
The point is, I don't think it's possible.
That's what we call the new podcast, is FOMO for my backlog. All we do is talk about the games we've been catching up on for a year. We just do a 1-year experiment.
So, it's not the worst idea.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It. Next comment comes from Sean Iams Fuller. He says, what do you think about difficulty spikes in games? Some games seem fair to a point and then become rage-inducing due to a difficulty spike. It makes it more frustrating in games with no difficulty level in the settings. Do you think a more balanced playthrough makes sense, or should it be that difficult to beat a boss or get through an area? I'm currently stuck on the final boss in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, so I'm going around and looking for ways to upgrade my equipment. I've got 85 hours logged already, so it's not like I'm going in prematurely. It's an interesting take on it. I'm kind of the mind that games should be whatever they should be. I feel like in today's era, it's not like back in the NES and SNES era where if a game was hard just because there were limitations to, they were still trying to figure it out, right? Like there was a game called Starship Hector it was a shmup that I thought was just impossible to play as a kid. But it was an old school game. They didn't have a lot to play with. I feel like nowadays, if you got a game that you don't like just play. There's so much out there. Play something different, right? Let the games be as hard as they need to be.
You might be enraptured in the story and then upset that this boss is super tough.
I mean, if there's no difficulty slider, I mean that's where I go to YouTube, look up something. No, I mean not just like watch the story, but how to beat the boss. You know what I mean? I always feel like there's always some trick or something that I'm not seeing, and I try not to go to it right away. You know, I try to give it the old college try until I just feel like I've hit a wall where like this is just not going to happen. Then I succumb and I go watch some video to figure it out. What do you think, Alyssa?
I agree with you mostly, but like I do get the frustration when you're battling enemies. Like, let's leave bosses out of it. You're battling enemies. You come across a group super easy. The next group is brutally difficult, and then the next group is extremely easy again. That gets a little frustrating because you never know what you should be prepared for.
It's never consistent.
Yeah. So I like it to be consistent, or at least, have a steady curve.
Mm-hmm.
When it's all over the place, yeah, it does get frustrating. Like, I'm playing a game currently for review, and the battles in the attack system are like what I mentioned, where the enemies, you never know if they're going to be brutally difficult or super easy. You'll fly through them in no time. So it does get frustrating in that regard. But I typically expect a boss to be more difficult, so yeah, I do the same thing. If I have to, I'll look it up on YouTube, see how to beat it, if I get too frustrated.
Zack, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess I don't see a problem with difficulty spikes. It's never deterred me from finishing a game if I'm really interested. The primary one that comes to mind is in the original Mafia game. There's a race that was in the middle of it, which it's mostly a game about shooting dudes in the Mafia, or driving somewhat leisurely. But then there's this race in the middle of the game, and you have to take first place. And the AI is really aggressive, and it's a 1930s car, so one tap will just spin you out. And basically, if you don't finish the first lap and at least second place, you may as well restart the whole race. It's incredibly difficult, and it took me days. But because I was so interested in the story, I pushed past it. I guess I also just I want to finish, almost every game I start. And to me, it just kind of adds to the color of like, oh man, remember that insane race that was in Mafia? It just almost adds to the color and history of the game. And it certainly is frustrating in the moment, but I have found that pushing past them in almost every instance has been worth it. I mean, I guess, sometimes it does suck when you beat a boss that was a huge difficulty spike and you feel relief rather than elation. That is definitely a bummer. And, that speaks to the poor game design of that boss or whatever. But I guess to me, it all is just part of the color of that game. At least that's how I feel about it right now. I mean, maybe if I was stuck on a boss right now in Bloodborne, maybe I would be speaking differently about, I hate difficulty spikes. But right now, I don't know. I don't feel negatively about them.
I had a similar experience with, which was the Assassin's Creed that was in London?
Syndicate.
There was like these carriage races.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely hated those, and you had to do them. They weren't like optional at all. And when you're playing a game that's all about assassinating and killing and everything, and then there's just like a must-play racing sequence, very, very frustrating.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Zack, you're up.
Aaron Peterson writes in, do you think game journalism is getting a bit entitled in regards to game reviews? Oh boy.
Well, this is in response to IGN's response to not getting a code for Suicide Squad, I would assume. I don't feel like that happens a lot.
No.
Correct. I think it's a very nuanced answer. Because they're like, let's use the IGN with the Suicide Squad thing or whatever, and they're complaining about not getting a code. To me, like, I suppose it is somewhat entitlement. But you're also like, if you're like, man, these journalists are so entitled, you're kind of playing into the mega corporations' marketing hopes then. Because you're the way you're framing that is you're kind of going to bat, like, Warner Brothers doesn't owe them a code. yes, that's true, I suppose, but that also means that you're kind of rooting for Warner Brothers to have less information to the customers then.
Yeah, a little bit, because I mean, at this point, that's all it is marketing, right?
Right.
But the company has a choice to market in whichever way they want to. Unfortunately, we kind of have it in our heads that if a company does not give out early access to journalists, that they don't have faith in the quality of the game.
Well, that is true 99% of the time.
Right. But this one also smelled a little bit like, well, they talked so negatively about the game in the preview, which was clearly just a preview, not a full-blown...
Yes. And for once, an outlet actually wrote an honest preview, and everyone was mad at them for it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because usually, even if the game's bad, they're like, yeah, but it's got a long way to go. It could turn it around by the time it comes out. Even if that's dead-ass wrong.
No, I didn't read the reviews. I will say the way that I heard somebody talking about it on one of the podcasts for one of the bigger publications, I was like, he sounded bitter as hell.
Yeah.
He really did. I know he was trying to sound objective about like why he didn't like the game. And if you don't like the game, that's completely fair. But it just really sounded like he was bitter. He kept trying to bring it up, even though the host was like, well, our audience doesn't really care about that. They just want to hear about the game, so let's just talk about the game. And this dude just kept bringing it up and getting shut down. Like, we get it, dude. You didn't get a copy of the game. You still have to pay for it. Your company paid for it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You just didn't get to review it ahead of time to have coverage before the game came out, which is what you want. That's why you do it. It's not about getting a free copy. It's about being able to provide something to your audience, right? Like if you were
right. Well, because they're going to get a free copy anyway, like you said. You know? So it's not
about the money.
I don't feel like that's why they feel entitled to it. I think because it is. I mean, it's got to be frustrating to like you're expecting to provide coverage on launch day, and then because you were honest in your preview, their marketing team said, "Well, we got to make sure we don't give them a code."
Right.
And I don't know. And it is the PR's team, right, to try to make it look the game the best it can on release day.
Mm-hmm.
And we have such a media averse society right now. We don't trust the news, so it's like, yeah, good. They shouldn't give out codes. It's what it feels like. But
well, my question is, what would they have expected the response to be from these journalists? Did you expect them to have glowing reviews when the game came out, or are they banking on people buying it purely on the IP and the developer, Rocksteady? Like
yeah, well, and make no mistake, publishers pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to X website employees for mock reviews, so they always know what the score is going to be, or roughly what it's going to be before it comes out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So not giving out the code to me just said like, yeah, they knew that this game was gonna land in the 60s on Metacritic or whatever.
Which again is not like terrible score. You know what I mean? Like
no, and it's just and there's also a lot of things to consider with Suicide Squad in particular that would lead to that score, but that's not the question. The question is about entitlement. No, I do not think they're being entitled. Okay. Ultimately, I think. That is the relationship. If you want, these publishers, I guess, need the marketing from websites and YouTubers less and less.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's just the tit for tat. I think, right? It's like these people are helping market your game, and that's the gamble you take as a publisher is like they might not like it.
Right, and I kind of look at it as like in any corporate job, where if anybody, whether within the company or outside the company, is making it difficult for you to do your job, that's going to be frustrating, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get it. Where I struggle is with some of the response, like the Twitter response that I've talked about and the podcast responses, where it really is hard to look at them that they're frustrated because they can't do their job because they sound like they're butthurt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So even though they do sound like they're butthurt, I'm kind of with you. I think that they're just frustrated because their hands are tied. They want to provide something for their audience, and they can't do it in a timely manner. Because you guys know how it works. If you have a review 2 weeks out after the game is out, your review is not the word I can't think of. Relevant, yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes kind of irrelevant if it's old.
Look, and the person you're referencing, by the way, has been a career-long baby. Okay, so I'm not surprised to hear this from this person.
Okay, yeah.
But that's a whole other conversation, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Alyssa, you want to take the next one?
Sure. How do I pronounce this last name?
I honestly don't know. I want to say Machand.
I would say Machand.
Machand?
I don't know.
If I say your
Matthew.
name wrong, I'm so sorry because I know what it feels like to have your name mispronounced.
What are you talking
Matthew,
about, Alyssa?
Yeah, that's what every substitute teacher called me back in school.
Like phonetically, there's two S's. That's
Dude, I don't know. My last name is Parkerson, and every teacher would either say Packerson or Parkinson. I never had a teacher say Parkerson, and there's no other way to pronounce the word.
Yeah, that's a clear cut.
Yeah.
So that teachers are dumb at names.
I've been lucky with Clark.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to mispronounce Clark, but spelling it, on the other hand, one of my bosses cannot spell my name correctly. She puts an E at the end of it.
I was gonna ask, how else could it be spelled besides with an E at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Alyssa Witt, what were you saying?
Matthew Machand writes in, what will the blowback be from Ubisoft saying, quote, gamers need to get used to not owning games, unquote, which we did mention this earlier in the podcast today and in a previous podcast that this quote was taken out of context. It was spun around, like they made it sound worse than what it actually was.
And unfortunately, the truth does not matter.
Yep. And the blowback is going to be more because of what the journalists have done in misreporting it or misrepresenting it. And I think that's just going to embolden those that are all about physical media, and it's going to extend the life of physical media a little bit longer.
I think the blowback will be non-existent.
Oh, yeah?
Because gamers have the memory of a gerbil.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many times the publisher screws you over or ruins your day, as long as their next game looks cool,
you'll go
sells.
running back. Yeah.
Exactly. Doesn't matter how much Blizzard has completely ruined Overwatch, everybody bought Diablo 4 on launch.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how much gamers say, I hate always online games, they bought Diablo 4 on launch. So, I mean, it's just, no, I don't think there will be any ramifications because gamers have proven time and time again they are not a powerful consumer force.
Remember the Call of Duty boycott?
Oh yeah, of course. That's a nice famous one, or the Left 4 Dead 2 boycott, or
the
Hogwarts Legacy boycott. You know,
the best-selling game of the year.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just. And I'm not saying I'm not guilty of this. I'm just saying it just is what it is. Or we all hate microtransactions, but boy, they sure do put them in every game as though people buy them.
Yeah, people do buy them.
Exactly.
It's just the vocal minority that hates them are not.
Or even the people that do say they hate them, it's then they put in a character they care about in a Fortnite. And you're like, well, I guess I have to get Goku. Yeah. Everyone's got a cave point.
Yeah.
I hate cosmetic DLC. I bought every Tomb Raider costume in Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So we all have things we're suckers for. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm just saying gamers are a weak consumer base.
Yep.
That's true.
Next up, Brian Regals. What are your thoughts on easy mode in games? I started gaming in 1979 and have been gaming ever since. You guys know me and how much I like From Software difficult games like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, etc. But as I get older, I see myself putting games into easy mode if I get stuck at a challenging part for more than 20 to 30 minutes. For example, in the latest Prince of Persia game, if I got stuck at a tough platforming area, I changed my settings to easy to get past it, then changed it back to normal. It's probably because I don't have the time to keep trying, or it's because I am older and my reflexes aren't like they used to be. What are your thoughts on easy mode? Zach, what do you think?
I am a bit surprised, Brian, that you would love From Software and then go to easy mode.
Yeah.
But putting that aside,
like,
I guess
what
it's
is
probably
too difficult for you?
I guess it must just be because those games don't give you the option. So if you want to see more Elden Ring, you're just gonna have to get better.
I mean, with those games, you're in for a difficult time when you go in.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I have no problem with easy mode. I have no problem with people changing difficulties. In fact, I get annoyed when games have difficulty-based trophies.
Yeah,
because I think if you can beat the game, I think that's already an accomplishment. You know, I don't think that you should have no shame on playing on easy. You know, I play Prince of Persia: Lost Crown on hard, but that's just because it gave the best game balance to me and what I wanted out of it. But but also there were bosses where I was like, this seems unfair. But I still pushed fast because it turns out that they were fair. I was just not good enough. But
the
it was
Garden Queen.
she's very difficult. But then when you actually beat them and you realize, oh no, they were fair. I wasn't doing this, or I wasn't doing that, or I wasn't thinking the right way. Like, that gives such a huge accomplishment to me. But if your barrier to enjoying the game is that it was too hard on that part, knocking it down for easy for a few minutes, honestly, there's no problem with that. You should feel no shame in that.
I'm of the mind, whatever gets people playing games more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this should be fun at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Should be fun. I do take some pride and satisfaction in finishing something on at least normal difficulty. But if it's something that I am just going through to fly through to get through the story or something like that, I will drop it to easy, especially if it's an older game. I recently played through BioShock. I've played through that game before. I don't need to stress through it again. I just wanted to breeze through it and enjoy the story. You know what I mean? But that's also a personal preference. I would like to play it on normal at first and then go back to easy on a second playthrough, but I'm not going to judge somebody who does.
Well, more and more games are offering more adjustable difficulty. Like Prince of Persia is a great example where you can change how much damage the enemies do to you and stuff. Like, if it's up to the developer. If they want to make an ultra challenging game where beat your head against the wall is part of the appeal, like a Dark Souls, then that should be great. But if they want to make a game where they want somebody to have a malleable experience and adjust to what they want, like Lost Crown, I think that's also great. It's
Rogue Legacy 2 had a whole thing where you could change anything to any difficulty and it wouldn't even affect the achievements.
Yeah, that's the way to
straight up said it. I mean, it's not like it was a walk in the park. It's not, it's not like Avatar. You're not going to get all those achievements in 40 seconds. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah, throwback to Avatar.
So,
or you remember Shadow of the Tomb Raider had different difficulty options for puzzles, platforming, and combat? Yeah. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
You get exactly what you want out of it.
Yeah, and I know that's a whole lot of extra programming and everything, but it's not like you're starting from the ground up, that kind of stuff. You just redesign the puzzle in a new way. I know that's not like just like a
yeah, you say just.
I don't mean to sound like that's not any big deal, but yeah, if you play on easy, go for it. I still consider it beating the game. You know what I mean? Like, if you play it on easy. But
of course, yeah.
I also take some personal pride when I do something on a little bit more challenging difficulty. I felt awesome finishing Lost Crown. I didn't play it on hard like you did because I enjoyed the platforming aspect of it more than I did the boss battles. Although the boss battles were awesome. But if they had been harder, I would have really struggled to get through this game.
Well, see, I can tell you the reason I went to hard is because it had all those normal enemies were so easy to kill on normal that I found it more satisfying to when I found a random enemy on the map to have to actually like that they were a challenge, kind of like a Dark Souls.
Yeah,
that brought more satisfaction to the exploration for me.
Yeah. So play the game whatever way you want to. It's not like you're playing online with other people. It is your personal experience. You do it whatever way you want. It's not affecting anybody in any shape or form, way, shape, or form.
It's only people on Twitter who are going to judge you for your difficulty.
I mean, you don't even have to tell anyone you bumped it down to easy. Like, just play it the way you want. I mean,
there you go. Lie.
If a game is frustrating you, I have no shame in dropping it down to easy to get through a boss battle and then bumping it back to normal. Like, I mean, whatever allows you to enjoy the game to its fullest. Play it how you want. Make the difficulty what you want.
I would like to think that a developer would rather you see the game to its conclusion instead of stop because it was too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or think of our games like Max Payne, Resident Evil 4. When you died, they would make your next run a little bit easier without even telling you.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows how many games we've played where we thought we did great, you know, but really it was just making it just a little easier for us.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next comment, Zach.
Paul Hine over on Discord jumps in with a nice, simple question. What is best in life?
Boy, that's an open-ended question there. What is best in life?
Westerns and video games. Moving on.
Coming from a person that has major depressive disorder and is going through a depressive episode at the moment, it's a difficult question. I'd say my family. I mean, I am consuming a lot of K-pop and K-dramas, but I mean, family. I mean, I would choose my family every single time over those. So I'd say my family.
I would pick Westerns over my family in video games.
Well, I have a very good relationship with my mom's side of the family, and that's mostly the family I'm talking about. There's some others that I would be like, nah, no, I picked stuff over you. Anyway.
Wow.
What about you, Scott? What's best in life?
The best in life is when plans cancel.
I love that.
It is a sweet feeling.
It is such a sweet feeling when you're like, okay, I got to do this tonight, and then something happens, and all of a sudden you have the entire evening free to do whatever you want. Is like the best feeling in the world.
It's so freeing, right?
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that sounds like a horrible answer after Alyssa's family.
Oh
and
no,
all that
I
kind
love
of
when
stuff.
plans are canceled. So that it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, really
Hey, look,
good.
man. You know, family's great. Being in love is great. But a new Clint Eastwood movie, new video game. It's hard to beat those things.
What is your favorite part of a video game? Is it like that opening part when you first start it, or is it that final moment when you roll credits and you have completion? Which one is more satisfying to you?
I think it is those first few hours where like the tone and the world's getting established,
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of soaking all. It's like so much new information almost.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's just you're like your eyes and your mind are opening to a brand new world.
Yes, I think I have to agree. As much as I like the satisfaction of the rolling credits, I feel like I'm also kind of ready to be done with the game at that point. So it's almost more of a relief, and I don't like just having that feeling of relief. I would rather, sometimes it happens where you're left wanting more. You know what I mean? It's not like it ended too quickly in your mind, but that first time popping it in and you don't really know what to expect and you're just ready to be wowed. And there's a lot of character development, and that was always my favorite part of movies, is when you're just learning about the characters and getting to know them before the drama happens, and then the drama happens, and it's just like, okay, now we got to do the rest of this movie.
Right. No, yeah, I always love, like, when I replay a Zelda game, I always love sitting in those quiet moments before Link's life gets ruined this time.
Yeah.
Just chilling in Kakariko Village or whatever. That stuff's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a great question, Paul. It's a little tough one to answer, but
yeah.
Alyssa.
Mark Zemansky writes, what was the catalyst for your console of choice? Example, I prefer solo campaigns and PlayStation had the leg up on exclusives. If this has already been answered, forgive my forgetfulness.
We answered this like a long time ago. Mine was achievements. I don't know if I've told this story in years, but I had an Xbox and a PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and my best friend at the time and I decided to compete one another to see who could get the most achievement points. And it's just stuck ever since. Ever since then, I've just, in my brain says achievements over trophies, much like Zack's is the opposite. And that's really it. It's just like it just became the comfort side for me. I don't really have a better answer than that. I have both consoles to this day.
Yeah.
So
I mean, my answer is pretty similar. I'm a person that once I get stuck in a routine, I am in that routine, and it's very difficult for me to become separated from that unless I choose to do so. And I just got used to playing multi-platform games on Xbox and then exclusives on PlayStation, and a lot of the games I played were multi-platform, so I just started playing more on Xbox, and that's just stuck with me since the Xbox One. I did play PS3 more than 360, but then it switched for me during that era, so I'm now stuck playing multi-platform games on Xbox and exclusives on PlayStation. But I need to be better and play some more multi-platform games on PlayStation because I love both equally. I don't have any, I'm not cursing either of them, I'm not like, this is my favorite child. I love them both equally. It's just I have a routine and I get stuck in my routine, so it's just a thing.
Nice. Zack?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've owned every PlayStation console, so I am definitely the PlayStation guy. I did have the brief few years there where I was Xbox, but that was because I played KOTOR and Halo demos inside of Game Crazy, and I was like, well, obviously I have to sell my PlayStation 2 to get this. What am I going to live life not playing this Knights of the Old Republic game? And then the 360 was such an easy choice over PS3 because of how botched the intro, of the E3 was for PlayStation 3.
Well, the price too.
So it was just top to bottom a disaster unveiling. But what really cemented me as PlayStation lifer, I think, was the first Uncharted. Seeing that owning the 360 and just watching this first Uncharted game kind of get showed. I remember there was like a magazine, Game Informer, where they showed off that when he took cover, he would sometimes be in different poses, and I was like, "Oh, that's so intense! Wow, why do they put all this work in animations? That's crazy." And it was basically just like it was Indiana Jones, but with in the modern day or whatever. I don't know. It just sounded cool, and eventually there was enough PlayStation exclusives that I sold my 360, even though I loved my achievements at the time, and hopped over to PlayStation and played the hell out of Uncharted. And I found the Platinum system is so much more satisfying than the achievement system to me, and the way it would level you up back then, and level ups were so slow back then. Because they revitalized the trophy system with PS5, so where you're leveling up pretty regularly. I'm like level 400 or whatever, 447. But back then you're like level 20. It's like, dang, that guy plays a lot of games. But yeah, so it was mostly the trophy system and the exclusives. I think it's very hard to argue that Xbox has better exclusive outside of Gears of War to me.
The good old days.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Xbox Live was awesome back in the day, but the PlayStation Network was hot garbage. But the answer is, I have both of them like you guys do, but I'm going to play a game on PlayStation more likely. I just like the interface more, the controller, the trophies, everything.
I do like the PS5 controller. It feels so
I do
good.
too.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the 360, right? 360 or the GameCube. Those are the two best controllers ever.
I love the Wavebird controller for the GameCube. I don't know if the original was as good, but
I like the button layout on the GameCube.
The one big A button.
Yes, and the tiny little B button, and the X and the Y kind of circling around the big A. Dude, that's a sexy looking button layout.
All right, I think. Am I up?
Yes.
All right, Kevin Honigford says, if you could be a fly on the wall of the war room of the development of any game in history, which would you choose and why? And why do people that hate the Sega Genesis always apologize for things they shouldn't? I don't hate the Sega Genesis, but I do apologize way too much, and I'm really sorry about that.
Hey, I see what you did there.
But fly on the wall, war room, boy, Dante's Inferno.
That'd be a good one.
I would really like to see what they sat down and decided that they're going to do with that game, because that game goes some places more than once.
Yeah. Yeah, could you imagine those concept artists?
Yeah.
Trying to get therapy afterwards?
Yeah,
dude.
So,
that's a good one.
That would have been my choice. What about you guys?
The first game that came to mind for me was Shenmue. Hey, we're going to, this is like, what, 2000... Well, this would be like the late 90s when this game gets started development. It's like, and Yu Suzuki, a guy who's only made fighting games, shows up to the boardroom. He's like, here's the thing, guys. I want to make a game that is mostly about walking. You're just walking from one character to the other and saying, hey, where are the sailors at around here? Oh. It's also going to cost $70 million, which is about 6 times more than any other game has ever cost at this point. And then for some reason, Sega goes, sounds great.
Isn't that the same pitch Kojima made with Death Stranding?
Yeah, but he had such an established track record. Yu Suzuki had Virtua Fighter.
Right.
And some arcade games. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to make this hugely cinematic game. It's going to take place in the 80s. It's 80s Japan, I'm sure there's a huge
forklift section.
yeah, and when you need to afford a boat ticket, you're going to have to actually work in this video game. Yeah, that's
everybody wants to do.
Just seems like such a tough pitch, and the game's great, so it worked out. But my God, what a interesting development process that would be. Or imagine pitching that to your team. You're like, hey guys, I know we're a fighting game team, but we're going to make a a walking simulator now.
Nice.
Cool. Hope you guys are ready for that. There will be fighting in the game, but it's going to be about 3 fights, and they're going to be spaced 5 hours apart each.
Oh my goodness.
So,
what about you, Alyssa?
I'd say Deadly Premonition, just because I love that game. But also just, Swery65 trying to, make Twin Peaks, but as a video game. And then just also the process for his ideas, like, let's make a pack of crackers from the vending machine $40. Also, if you don't shave your character and change his clothes and make him take a shower, that comes out of your paycheck. So it can't be smelly and unkempt. You gotta be clean shaven and clean if you want that full paycheck.
And
That's
check this
really
out.
How that game went?
Yes.
And this detective, we're going to make you drive in an unnecessarily large map. And the whole time he's going to be talking about the bonus features of DVDs about 80s movies.
I love that part, but yeah.
That sounds kind of rad.
Yeah.
That's what it's...
To your
that seems like
imaginary partner.
Right, your imaginary friend.
Yeah.
But that seems like a hard sell to a publisher, Scott. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. And I don't hate the Sega Genesis, Kevin. I just don't have a lot of experience with it. I played Streets of Rage 2, okay?
Do you know that the Genesis does when Nintendo don't?
Not anymore.
Well, all right, yeah, I guess so. Well, no, the Genesis will always do what the Nintendo don't. It didn't have the Super Nintendo didn't have blast processing. Come on.
You got the last question, Zach.
Oh yeah, this is Drew Ross. Favorite soda, hated soda.
Do energy drinks count?
I don't know. Do they? I feel like that's soda adjacent, right?
Because Kickstart grape is my go-to. I love that. But
that's Mountain Dew. So
Mountain Dew is my easy answer. If I can have any soda, there is a new one, a relatively new one. That's like a Mountain Dew Spark. That's like a I want to say like a either strawberry or raspberry lemonade.
Yeah, I think raspberry lemonade. Yeah.
That's really good. But just standard good old Mountain Dew is great. I will say I have acquired a taste for ginger ale, probably because I'm getting old.
Yeah, that's an old man soda. Makes sense.
I used to hate ginger ale when I was a kid, and more for cocktails than just straight. Like I won't drink like a can of ginger ale, but like when you do a mixer with Sprite or 7-Up or something like that, it's always too sweet. So the ginger ale gives it a little bit less sweetness that I appreciate with my, with my whiskey or whatever I'm mixing it with. So, but yeah, hated soda. I don't know if I don't really have one I hate. How did I not mention Baja Blast, by the way?
Well, that's it's less of a soda and more of an essential part of Taco Bell.
Yeah, right. I have to think about a hated soda because I don't know if I really do hate any. Can't think of one. You guys?
I guess I'm a bit of a soda connoisseur.
Oh.
I like fancy sodas. There was a Mountain Dew Black Label soda. It was a dark berry fancy soda that Mountain Dew did.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. That was exceptional. But I can't find that anymore, so I guess it must be dead. But in terms of like my favorite go-to soda is a Dr. Pepper with cream soda, Dr. Pepper and cream soda, little combo thing they do. That's pretty great. I just tried Nitro Pepsi this morning.
What's that?
So it's like nitrous infused Pepsi.
Does it taste different?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it kind of pours like a draft soda. Like it's got like a really large head, foam head.
Okay.
And stuff, so it's a very different feeling too. It's very smooth. It was quite tasty. I quite appreciated it. I think I'll be drinking more of those. I like to try new sodas as often as I can. I used to be crazy, I used to go through like a 12-pack every few days.
Wow.
Now I try to keep it to one soda a day now, for my figure obviously.
I will say, and you might be able to relate to this, Pepsi from Beefaroo is phenomenal. I don't know what it is they do with their, what do you call that? With the syrup and stuff that they do?
The syrup to water ratio?
Their mix is amazing at Beefaroo by my house. It is.
Yeah, that's some of the best Pepsi ever.
Yeah, like I will actually choose Pepsi over Mountain Dew from Beefaroo. So.
Yeah. And as far as the Pepsi versus Coke, I think they're both good. Coke is better, but they're both good. But Dr. Pepper is the real winner.
Yeah. You like Dr. Pepper. Alyssa, how about
you? There's a hated soda, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Any diet. Diet can go to hell.
Any diet.
Yeah, I don't care.
I actually prefer Diet Dr. Pepper to regular Dr. Pepper.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
That's a legitimately insane thing you've both just said.
No, dude. There's something about the bubbles that feel better.
To me, regular Dr. Pepper is just too sweet.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?
I've thought that since I was a kid, actually.
Diet Dr. Pepper is as close as a diet gets to tasting like a real soda. But like Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, bin it.
Yeah.
Nobody needs that. Get rid of that.
And I feel like you're not getting that much more health benefits from drinking a diet soda.
Either way, you're drinking a soda.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Either way, you're drinking something that could corrode metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just go all out if you're going to do it. Alyssa, you were saying.
Well, my favorite is Mountain Dew Zero. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why I love this so much, but I do.
I can't get behind the zeros. I've tried it.
I used to. My favorite used to be just regular Mountain Dew, but then I tried Mountain Dew Zero, and I became hooked on it. That's pretty much the only soda I drink now. When I drink a soda.
Have either one of you tried Mountain Dew Black Label when it was a thing?
I don't think so. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Didn't.
Yeah, it was kind of a premium soda. It was like $3.50 a can or something like that.
Holy cow!
It was a gentleman's soda.
Yeah,
it was really good.
You drink it in a lowball glass.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I put it in my decanter
with a swizzle stick, and
yeah. you
gotta let it breathe, and get the nose feel.
Alyssa, I didn't mean to cut you off, but did you guys? How do you guys feel about Pitch Black? That's the best Mountain Dew.
I never had it.
The grape flavored Mountain Dew. Bring it back.
I don't like anything grape flavored. That's my issue.
I feel like I like it, but the Kickstart has become my grape flavor of choice when it comes to that kind of stuff. I just wish that stuff wasn't so expensive. Things are
Pitch Black is dead.
No. I'm talking about the Kickstart. They're like $2 a can. Like it's just
they're getting up there.
Yeah,
I feel like they debuted at 99 cents a can.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Alyssa, what's your hated soda? I'm sorry.
I don't really hate. Well, I guess like speaking about hate soda, I will not drink grape soda because I don't like grape flavored things. But like brand name wise, I will not drink Sprite or 7-Up because it triggers my phobia.
Oh, because you usually drink that when you're sick, right?
Yeah, so I won't drink those just because even right now I'm kind of getting anxious. So just thinking about it. But yeah, those I won't touch. I won't touch them. Ginger
ale. That's my sick soda.
Really?
Yeah. It always works, man. It's like magic.
Interesting.
Dude, I'm just like daydreaming about Mountain Dew Black Label.
Gotta find some on eBay that's been sealed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, that was a lot of fun, guys. Thanks to everybody who contributed those comments. It is always a lot of fun doing that each month, so stay tuned. Next month when we do community questions once again. Next week's topic was actually brought to us by a listener. We are going to talk about renaming genres. If you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, you've probably heard Zack's new take on Metroidvania. We now call them gear-gated games. Dude, every time I post a review, I get people texting me, dude, I feel dumb. What is a gear-gated game? Oh, you guys don't listen to the show. Okay.
I feel like it's more explanatory than Metroidvania is. Metroidvania means nothing.
We'll discuss it next week, but we're gonna talk about like what other names we'd give other genres, like first person shooter or roguelike.
I was gonna say I would take Metroidvania over roguelike, Souls-like. Those are just so boring.
So we're gonna come up with our own names that will never stick with everybody, but we'll try it. So stay tuned for next week for that. I'll have it posted on the socials for you guys to give some comments. But that is going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you so much for listening. This episode, as usual, is produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music that you hear in the episode is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemmagemusic.com, and he will be coming on an upcoming episode in the near future, so be sure to stick around for that. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zack, do you have any parting words or recommendations for our listeners before we head out of here?
Dude, have you guys ever seen the show Longmire?
No, I've heard about it.
I have not, but my dad and his girlfriend watched it, and he gushed about it the entire time.
Oh my god! I just
Western, right?
It's like a neo Western. Guess
it's in the Matrix.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's a modern set show with Western. Yeah, yes, it's a modern Western.
Okay.
But yeah, it is. But it's procedural, which I don't think I expected going in. So like the crimes are solved right away.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I expected more Justified. But dude, this show is so addicting. Me and my partner and I, we started it on Friday night. We're already almost through the first season, which I've just never done.
Oh my goodness!
They're short seasons, only 10 episodes each. But dude, this show is incredible. Just the crimes are very clever in the way Walt Longmire figures them out, and the supporting cast, which like Katie Sackhoff is second lead in the show. They're all very compelling, and it's just the way the show is edited. Things move very fast, so it's hard to put down. And yeah, it's just, dude, it's such a clever, witty show, which I don't know if I expected. I was just hoping for some rootin' tootin' cowboy shooting, but there really isn't a lot of shooting. It's more about like a clever crime solver, almost like Sherlock Holmes, but in the west of Wyoming.
Nice.
It's just it's great. I highly recommend it.
And you got 5 more seasons to go.
I know, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So much Walt Longmire to look forward to.
Nice. How about you, Alyssa?
I was just gonna say, isn't that based on a book series?
Yeah. That's what I didn't know that, but yeah, at the beginning it always says based on the Walt Longmire Mysteries novel series.
So you're gonna go back and read those now, aren't you?
I may definitely check them out, dude. Lou Diamond Phillips is in this show.
Seriously?
I love Lou Diamond Phillips. Yeah, wow. He plays Walt's best friend.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh man, what a television program.
Nice. Alyssa, how about you?
I watched a film which is actually nominated for Best Foreign Film Oscar this year, called Society of the Snow on Netflix. It's based on a true story about a Uruguayan sports team that they were flying from Uruguay to, I believe it was Chile, but they had a plane crash and landed in the Andes Mountains, and it's about their journey to survive, and it's brutal, it's harrowing, it can be tough to watch at times, but it's just so beautifully shot, and the director, J.A. Bayona, if you've seen his previous film, The Impossible, you know how well he can handle movies that are based on true events, and it's just the way, like, you feel like you're watching something that's fictionalized, and then you realize, oh, this actually happened, like, and it's just so captivating. It is a lengthier film, but it flew by. It was just so engrossing, and you can watch it with an English dub on Netflix if you want to, but I would say watch it the original in Spanish with English subtitles, because it was a lot more impactful that way for me.
Nice.
But yeah, definitely recommend watching that.
Didn't they eat each other?
I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean,
you don't
it's
want to spoil a true story.
I think you're thinking. Wasn't there a movie called Alive?
Well, that's the thing. This event has been covered in films before, so if you've seen those, you know what's going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Slight spoiler, because if you want to go into this completely blind, you don't want to know the story, don't listen for like 5 seconds. Okay. Yes, Zach, there is cannibalism.
Okay, that's what I thought. Like, I remember hearing about the actual story.
Yeah.
Never seen a movie based on it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Society of Snow. Society of the Snow. It's on Netflix. Definitely worth watching. Nice. Amazing film.
Sounds like a tasty movie.
It is.
Well, I'm gonna be boring and also recommend a movie. I know we're not a movie podcast, but Matt Sadler actually recommended in our Discord server a movie on Amazon Prime called A Good Person, and I love
that movie.
Last night.
That movie was one of my favorites of last year.
Holy cow! What a heavy movie! This has got Florence Pugh. Am I pronouncing that correctly? And Morgan Freeman, who are both fantastic. But this is wow. What a movie. It is a movie that centers around... it's directed by Zach Braff, by the way.
Yeah.
And it centers around a horrible tragedy that takes place in the aftermath that ensues. It has to deal with a lot of, a character kind of trying to redeem herself from something horrible that happened, and other characters either forgiving her or not forgiving her. And it is excellently written, excellently acted. It's not a fun watch. It is a very tragic tale, but it is one that sticks with you. And I highly, highly recommend this movie. It was just came out of nowhere for me. I'd never even heard of it until Matt recommended it. So check out that movie. The only thing that bothers me is Morgan Freeman seems to clearly be wearing false teeth throughout the entire movie. Like maybe I'm wrong, but it's affecting the way that he talks. I feel like his voice is not quite exactly Morgan Freeman's. I don't know if that's because he's just getting up there. I think he's like 87 years old at this point. But
so he's gotta be pretty old.
Yeah. He's old.
But it looks like he's got something in his mouth that is not normal, which would probably be better than no teeth at all. But it is distracting. It's not any reason to not watch the film. It's seriously fantastic.
I never noticed Morgan Freeman's teeth when I was watching that movie, but I do second your recommendation. I think I recommended it last year on the podcast when I watched it.
I feel bad then, but
no. It's been over a year. It's been a while.
It's really good.
It's more accessible now too. So.
Oh, because it wasn't on Amazon?
No, I had watched it when it came out digitally. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would highly recommend that one. So it was really good. All right. Well, until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson and Alyssa White. Thank you both for being here. And we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there is no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.